You stole my heart of gold after my silver soul. Can you dig any deeper now? I gave you all I own, put you on this golden throne, but I'm a little stronger now. You cashed in on my promises, you know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out, 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now, a little stronger now. You know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out, 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now, a little stronger now.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Tuesday night. It's the Full Send Racing Series Season 5 this evening. It's race number 12 as the drivers move from Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where Zach Hall grabbed his second win of the season, to here in the desert. For the drivers, they're prepared for a little bit of a different oval type racing, short track at Phoenix Raceway for the ButtKicker 300. The drivers are set up. They're under qualifying conditions now. Most of the field's already put in their times, with Cameron Sargent with the top of the board. Joining me up the booth with my name being Sam Dyer, we got Trevor Earhart with me. And Trevor, after last week's incredible finish at that of Indianapolis, I'm surprised that some drivers, maybe they might be coming in here trying to cool down a little bit in the desert.
Yeah, I mean, you would have thought after Martinsville and the chaos that we saw there that we'd see a little bit more calm at Indianapolis with it being a big track, but late race drama, green-white checkers, late blocks down the back straightaway saw some more drama, so here we come to the desert. High temperatures outside, maybe high temperatures inside the cockpit of these cars, with some drivers still being angry from the past 2 weeks.
And this race, so crucial. Counting tonight, 4 races left in the regular season. After tonight's race is over, the drivers only got 3 more to handle. It's going to be crucial races next week. Talladega, Las Vegas in 2 weeks before Richmond, finishing out the regular season. Then they'll have a week off before the playoffs begin and see who's going to grab the Season 5 championship. And as well, tonight, first time the Full Send Racing Series is going to be running the Xfinity car here at Phoenix, as all past races, the past 2 times we've been here at this track, it's been in the trucks, as the drivers are hoping to see maybe the Xfinity car can bring out some more drama, more energy. We'll find out with less than 30 seconds left in qualifying. Cameron Sargent still top of the board, as Ryan Lynch last time across the line for his time. He was 25th on the board under his first lap and will only be able to advance to 23rd, as it looks to be just a little bit over 30 drivers going to be racing here this evening. As qualifying is done, thank you so much again to everyone joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Trevor Earhart, and a big shout out to that of being Robert Moyer Jr. running productions in the background, and as well to Steve Benjamin running race control for the drivers here tonight. As we are done with qualifying, it's time for the drivers to grid up. It's going to be tonight's race, a long one, 186 laps in total, a stage break at the end of lap 45. No fast repairs in 5 extra sets of tires in pit road. They're going to have to see if those tires are going to work out this evening with that stage break and the initial start of the race. These restarts are going to be intense. Drivers on top of one another, and it's going to be a wild one to watch. But let's take a look at our starting grid here tonight at Phoenix with ButtKicker 300. Taking the top of the board, it's Cameron Sargent in the 24 machine. John Dart in 5 going to be in second place, with Zach Hall in 3rd. Last driver to win at this track, Cole Sketty, going to be in 4th, with Christopher Norris in 5th. That of Cedric Hunter in 6th. Ross Tatum in 7th. 8th goes Chris Stitz. Andrew Medlin 9th. And finish out your top 10, it's Travis Dart in the 26th.
Tony Brent will be in 11th, with Will Bustler in 12th. Trey Jackson will start in 13th, with Sam Siegel in 14th. David McConnell will be in 15th, Christopher Wade in 16th. Brett McCann will start in 17th, with Tyler Thomas to his outside in 18th. 19th will be Jonathan Burt, and Jay Becker will be in 20th.
Surprisingly deep in the field, 21st position, going to find Ken Campbell in the 15 machine. Doug Pierce going to be in 22nd place. Ryan Lynch saw there trying to put in a late time qualifying, got to come away in 23rd. 24th is Brian Al Wilson. Alex Jones in the 45 machine in 25th spot. Philip Chavez in 26th. Christopher Melton 27th. 28th is William Duff. Curtis Valechka in 29th, and Peter Dillon going to finish out our 30 drivers running here tonight. Last couple of drivers deciding not to put in a qualifying time, so they'll be starting in the back, and they will be gridded up based off of their I rating. Highest I rating gets the higher position, but as the drivers are rolling off, you might be seeing it on our corner of the screen. There's a little bit of pink out there for the drivers. The month of October is known for breast cancer awareness, and the color that is known is the pink ribbon. So drivers, in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, going to be running a lot of pink. So expect to see a lot of it. And Trevor, it might trip us up a little bit here tonight to try to get used to it, but it is always a great awareness month for these drivers to be shouting out and kind of giving awareness to everyone around.
Yeah, it's a great thing to see all these guys coming together to support a great cause in breast cancer awareness. And Going to see a lot of pink tonight. Maybe seeing a lot of pink throughout our other broadcasts throughout the course of the month. But hey, what better way to get some awareness out there than some pink race cars on track?
Drivers set, they're ready. Pace car into pit road. They had to take about half the track just pacing for themselves. But into the Geico restart zone, the ButtKicker 300 is underway. Cameron Starr and John Dark going to get the great launch for themselves. But as they cross the start finish line, they come to the dog leg. They can drive all the way down the inside wall. They're going to go 2 wide, 3 wide, and down into turn number 1. It's starting all by himself.
Yeah, starting with a great jump, really clean restart, only 2 wide through the dog leg. Typically you see 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 wide down through there, but it's going to be Zach Hall doing battle with the 42 of Cole Sacchetti. That's going to be for 3rd and 4th position. Christopher Norris looking there as well as that battle for 3rd continues with Cedric Hunter right behind, Ross Tatum behind him side by side with Chris Stitz. So still 2 wide action as they complete lap number 1.
Couple of drivers having some big wiggles off the exit of turn number 3 and 4, but they hold steady into turn 1. And seeing Zach Hall in the 32, an incredible pass coming to the white flag last week, getting the win for himself, trying to go for win number 3. And speaking of wins, Christopher Norris, an incredible win last night in the ISRC Truck Series, trying to carry that momentum into tonight's race. Some drivers, though, on the other hand, trying to get some good runs to set up for the playoffs. Like I said, after tonight, 3 more races left in the regular season, and there's about a 5-horse race of drivers that are running for just 2 spots. John Dark, Brandon Colley going to be the 2 drivers that are currently inside of our top 12 points wise, with Chris Stitz, Andrew Medlin, and Jonathan Burt are all within distance to try to take one of those 2 spots. So watch out on the small battles as everyone's still clean through 4 laps here at Phoenix.
Yeah, still clean through 4 laps right now. The Daytona winner, Tony Brent, side by side with the 1 of Will Bustler. They're battling back there behind the 26 of Travis Dart. You got the 4 of McConnell right there side by side with the 88 of Trey Jackson. So still some good 2 wide racing, but a little bit of a wiggle from the 28. He's going to have to give that position up. The 1, as I say that, almost a little bit of contact as he dives it down into turn number 3.
3 and 4, always an interesting corner when you look at it. A lot of hard braking action, trying to get the launch off the corner. And drivers going to be mixing and matching on how they want to exit the corner. Are they going to be downshifting in any part of this race? Are they going to just stay in 4th gear? A lot of advantages that you can grab, but at the same point, another thing they've got to watch out for is the weather. You're seeing the sun starting to set. When this race gets about 20, 30 laps into this thing, we're going to be fully under nighttime conditions. The drivers are going to be knowing, hey, this sun glare could be an issue. At the same point, getting a little extra grip to work with.
Yeah, the track cools down. They're going to get a little bit more grip, can be a little bit more aggressive with how they enter and exit the corners right now with it being hot. Cars are going to be loose off corner exit and try to get this power down. So as that sun sets, expect lap times to tick up, and these guys get more aggressive on corner entry and corner exit.
Saw there backing off was the 88, 28 were right on board with Tony Brent. Had to check up aggressively, hurting the driver even behind this 28 machine. Brent, our Daytona winners, just trying to get onto a good footing, getting prepared for these last couple of races. As he won Daytona at the start of the season, he's excited for next week at Talladega. The driver behind this 28 going to be Brian McCann. McCann finding himself with 4 wins this season. That 8 machine looks strong, but also another driver looks strong. Ken Campbell making the move on the 8 machine, our biggest mover so far. Campbell trying to take his 7th position so far here tonight.
Yeah, Campbell with an uncharacteristically bad qualifying run, put him all the way back there in the back of the field, now working his way forward as he gets around the 8 of McCann, who looks like he might be struggling here a little bit at Phoenix, which I gotta say, Sam, a little bit surprising considering how he was at other flat kind of short tracks, but trying to get a crossover move here on the 15 of Campbell, just going to give him a shove down the back straightaway as they head off into 3 and 4.
Try to give him a little bit too much speed. Maybe he'll mess up the apex of the corner of turns 3 and 4. Not going to be the case. Ken Campbell holds steady and moves forward. That 15 we know can be strong. Last time he got in victory lane was under the controversial Martinsville finish, but the 15 was still strong at that track. Expecting to see him continue at the short track. Now, this track is a mile in length here at Phoenix, but the characteristics, so much like a short track with all the different corners and how you have to approach each and every corner. Currently, right now, it's still Cameron Sutton leading the way as Trey Jackson, you see the 88 up to 12, up just 1 position from where he qualified.
You got around Tony Brent now trying to run down the 1 of Will Bustler. They lost a little bit of time to the 26 of Travis Dart, who's caught up to the 12 of Andrew Medlin. You can kind of see the differences in the lines there. Some drivers electing to go up to the wall through 1 and 2 to get a better launch down the back straightaway. Other drivers electing to just take the bottom And it's kind of the cool thing here at Phoenix. Multiple lines can be run through 1 and 2, and then you have the whole tri-oval, essentially the dog leg that you can dive down on to gain time on the driver ahead of you.
Trying to gain every little bit as we move inside of our top 10. Andrew Medlin running in 9th place. Andrew Medlin comes in tonight 14th in points, just 5 points out from the cutoff line, which would be where Brandon Colley is. The 99 machine not going to be running here tonight, but seeing that Andrew Medlin can get in a sense on what it's like to be running out here on track, seeing the hand motions on how these drivers have to attack each and every corner.
Yeah, just watch his hands here, a little bit of movement as he hits the transition there in the dog leg. You see how much wheel he had to, how much he was working the wheel there, and down here in the 3 and 4. A lot of wheel input to get the car to turn, as the Xfinity car typically tightens. Here on corner exit, you got to be careful trying to get the throttle down. Really smooth corner exit though, but really easy to break that car loose.
Extremely easy to do so as the tire wear progresses forward. 12 laps in to tonight's race, and now start of lap number 13. We expect to see a change on these tires around 15 to 20 laps into a run. Those that were being aggressive might start to feel a handling issue a little bit quicker than those that are being patient. But at this current moment, Phoenix, Trevor, this track, so difficult when we get into this phase of the game on trying to make some big passes, as we're seeing everyone in line at this portion of the race.
Yeah, really hard to get passes done here. Everybody kind of carrying the same amount of speed. It's about, who messes up on corner exit. They can give you a little bit of momentum on the guy ahead of you, maybe be a bit more aggressive on corner entry, but it's all about protecting these tires for these guys early in a run, making sure you have something there toward the end of a long run so you can get passes done more easily. But right now, kind of just stuck in that train race where everybody's just nose to tail.
Nose to tail, a little bit of action going behind. That's going to be Ken Campbell once again advancing in position. 15 did not qualify well at all. Again, qualified in 21st position. But we look at the pace of practice, Ken Campbell was up inside of our top 10 of fastest drivers to watch out for. So no surprise he's been able to make the march forward. He's going to continue to do so as Brian McCann up to 14th, up only just 3 spots. Behind him, it is a lot of Texas speed with Tony Brett, Dave McConnell, as well as Jonathan Burt trying their best to move forward.
Yeah, Texas speed guys maybe getting a little bit of practice in for Talladega, running behind one another, nose to tail, getting ready for what it's going to be like next week, when I'm sure we'll see all of them up together helping one another. But right now, just settling into this race 15 or 16 laps in before we get to our stage break at lap 45.
Yeah, almost have all 4 of them in line. Sam Siegel cutting off that difference as we drop back to 25th position. Get to see the On the Throttle podcast machine of William Duff as driver in front of a major collision. That's going to be seeing one of the drivers down below. Major collision for the 9 of going to be Brian L. Wilson. Just absolutely shattered the inside wall.
Yeah, it looked like he got into the outside wall out of turn number 2 and caused that car to bounce all the way down to the inside wall and the back straightaway there. And that's going to be some significant side damage for the 9 that he's going to have to deal with for the rest of the night here at Phoenix, even though it's technically a short track, drives like a short track arrow. Really important here down these straightaways.
Luckily, not required damage, so the 9 can stay out there on track, but big enough contact that you are going to be worried about that incident. Again, these drivers have no fast repairs, so the only way you can get that damage repaired is once you come into pit road and manually let your crew beat and bang and allow the damage to get repaired, as Peter Dillon goes extremely wide to let our leader make the pass. And our first driver to go 1 lap down is the 27 machine, as the rest of the field trying to make some maneuvers. It's going to be tricky when you get by one of these slow machines. You're hoping the timing works out, that you don't find yourself into a collision with one another, as we're seeing the 5 of John Dart, seeing great battling in his mirror, as Cole Sketty, Zach Hall, the 2 drivers that dominated this race last season. This last season when they ran here was the championship race, trying to make their way forward to maybe challenge our leader of Cameron Sarton.
Yeah, this battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th really getting intense between these 3 drivers. John Dart doing a great job just hanging on to that 2nd spot, but he's got Cole Sketty, Zach Hall, the 2 that battled it out last year in that season finale race for the race win. Cole able to get that over Zach Hall. Zach Hall getting the championship, so I think Zach liked to finish 1 position higher than he did here last season, but not going for the championship, but still trying to close in on that 42.
Trying to close in the best that he can. John Dart, honestly, this season, he has been trying to find a lot more consistency to be up front a lot more often, and he's been doing a great job at it. Cole Sketty, on the other hand, we know that this 42 can be quick, fast at almost every track we go to. And tonight, it's great to see Cole having a good run in third place currently.
Yeah, having a good start to the race. About where he, up one spot from where he started fourth up to third, trying to find a way around this 5 car, doing a good job holding off Zach Hall. Christopher Norris back there in 5th position, trying to close in, but I think they're starting to pull away from 5th and 6th, which is Norris and Cedric Hunter, and these 3 trying to run down our leader, Cameron Sarton.
Keep a good pace. Maybe you can run down, see Sarton make a mistake. That clean air is just so dominant by the 24, and with Christopher Norris kind of giving a little bit of gap to work with, a little bit of clean air might help this 38 on the long run. There's a slight wiggle by the 17 to Chris Stitz. Got to be careful for the 17, who's one of those critical drivers that I put on note of John Dart, Chris Stitz, Andrew Medlin, Jonathan Burt. Those 4 drivers of the 5, as that of Brandon Colley's not here, they can have a strong run here tonight, solidify themselves more in a better points position heading into next week at Talladega.
Yeah, try to get yourself as many stage points as you can here tonight before the stages, or at the stage break, and then get a good finish, because next week at Talladega, anything can happen. We could see, a surprise winner that could lock themselves into the playoffs, or, drivers that were in on points have bad days and get taken out of the points. So right now it's key to get those guys to get as many points as they possibly can.
See the 7 of Cedric Hunter, a driver that's a lot deeper in the field when you look at point standings wise, but man, did he put on a show last week. End of the race, coming to the white flag, put a heavy block on Brandon Colley that sent the 99 into the grass. That move gave that of Cedric Hunter a major warning. He was told by race control after the race was over, hey, that move, you have to be careful making that big of a block. You are given a warning. You do that big of a move that can impede someone else's race, you find yourself in a penalty moving forward. So this 7 racing with a little bit of concern now, but we know the aggression by Cedric Hunter. He wants to be up front and challenging for a win, or at least a good top 5 points day.
Yeah, he's had chances to win. You think back to Martinsville, had a pretty good car there, had a chance to win it before his VR headset went out on him last week in Indianapolis. Had a really good chance to win that one. He and Zach Hall were pretty much the 2 fastest cars all night long, and then just got the wrong pit strategy, kind of mired back there, and traffic wasn't able to get up there with Zach Hall and battle with him. But right now, trying to close in on Christopher Norris and get that position away, and Andrew Medlin trying to hold off Travis Dart, who looks like he's starting to come on here a little bit in this later half of the run.
Finding that extra speed for themselves to catch up as we are halfway through our stage break for these drivers. Stage number 1 at the end of lap 45 will be the end of this stage. Top 10 drivers get bonus points. Everyone inside of our top 10 really need every point possible as the battle for 9th place. Travis Dart trying to make the move on Andrew Medlin, and Andrew Medlin's been staying stable in 9th for most of the night. Well, Dart says otherwise, as they almost made contact off the exit at turn number 2.
Yeah, Dart doing a much better job this season on these long runs, having the pace as the race progresses, trying to get this pass done. Just didn't have the momentum out of turn number 1 and 2 down the back straightaway. Medlin able to hold it off, but down here through the dogleg, going to try to cut the racetrack as much as he can to be side by side with this 12 machine as they continue battling into 3 and 4. Medlin drifts up just a little bit, but should have the momentum here off of turn number 2.
These intermediate short tracks, or bigger short tracks, you could say, Travis Dart has been very good at these courses. It's where he's had his best finishes. His best finish was 2nd at Iowa, got then a 3rd at Dover, 7th at New Hampshire. So this 26, hoping for that same consistency to carry over into tonight. Battling for 9th place, not a bad position to be in. It's looking like, hey, a lot of these passes difficult after about 10 laps into a run, as Medlin goes extremely wide through 1 and 2. You don't expect to see that wide of a entry and exit, hoping for a big run, and it just did not show up for Medlin there.
Yeah, I was hoping to get that run that he got the previous lap off the top there to stay side by side with Travis down the back straightaway. He just didn't quite get it like he wanted to, and he's going to have to give up that position as we move up to Ross Tatum up there in 8th position, trying to run down the 17 of Chris Stitz and Cedric Hunter in front of him as they come up to lap the 44 car of Curtis Valechka.
Valechka going a lap down, and a lot of these drivers that are going a lap down, they're just hoping that they could stay on the lead lap, or at least be the first car 1 lap down to get that lucky dog pass once the stage break yellow comes out. Peter Dillon still struggling for the 27, falling deeper and deeper through the field. But looking at Ross Tatum, just down 1 position, but at least keeping it close to these front runners. And in a spot where if his 21 can find a pit stop strategy that can work for himself, might be able to sneak a couple of more positions and aim for that top 5 finish.
Yeah, I mean, you think back last time we were in the Xfinity car was the champion that season. But talking to him last week after the race at Indianapolis, that he's been really struggling to find the way to not wear out the tires as badly, and been really struggling with long run pace in this 21 machine. So definitely might have to play that pit strategy for him tonight if he wants to find himself moving forward.
Yeah, and it just feels like the more that Ross has been running in this car this season, his usual tendencies of I'll back off, save my tires for longer in the run, just have not been able to work out as well as they have in the past. As we look again at the battle for second place, John Dart, Cole Sketty, Zach Hall, these three drivers in the same spot. They really haven't moved much. Cole has made the same move to the inside multiple times, but it just has not been able to stick. The run off the exit of the corner, John Dart just has too much speed. It's the center off right here is when John Dart puts the throttle down and is able to pull away and keep himself completely clear of Sacchetti. And Zach Hall finally gets an opening to try to go on the outside and to pass on Cole.
Yeah, I thought Cole was going to come up and block off the 32, but Zach Hall had the nose in there, and Cole making a good decision not to go up, and it could have been disastrous for the both of them. But you can see it down there in 1 and 2, Sam, as Cole dove it to the inside, how much time he has to give up on corner or in the center of the corner to get that car to stay on the bottom, that it just allows the 5 and the 32 to have that momentum off that top line, and having to actually give up a spot to the 32 trying to make that pass on the 5 machine.
Strength of the inside lane was good in those first 5 to 10 laps. The middle groove now looking more dominant through 1 and 2. 3 and 4, always traditional. Hit that yellow line. That is where you want to be every time you come around this corner. But Zach Hall has just hit another gear where he wants to take off. Chris Stitz, another driver that's found some extra speed, has been running just as fast as our drivers inside of the top 3. 17's trying to figure out how to set up Cedric Hunter, but Hunter, known for being a great blocker, and proved it last week. How is the 7 going to be able to defend here as we are counting down the laps, about to be just 10 laps to go before this stage is done?
Now the nose here of the 17 of Chris Stitz as he runs behind the 7 of Cedric Hunter across the line. Down here in the dog leg, you see the bump as they go over the transition there. Back up right behind the 7. We'll see where he goes here. Cedric's going to go to the bottom. Stitz going to go up to the almost to the wall here, trying to set up for this run off of turn number 2 to see if he can set up maybe a pass to the inside down into 3 and 4, but just not going to be close enough as he still, again, stalks the 7 of Cedric Hunter.
Stays in line. Not a bad place to be, though. Being inside of our top 10. Track position already proven to be very important. It was a valuable thing of tonight's race in the first 37 laps, but we still have over 150 laps to go here tonight. I mean, Trevor, this is a long race. This stage break, probably the shortest in distance compared to how these races usually progress. So these drivers are still going to have a long race to deal with even after our stage is done.
Yeah, I mean, typically after our stage break, you're looking 80, 90, maybe, 100 laps. Post-stage break, these guys have to run it out. But tonight, I mean, it's going to be 141 laps that they've got to go after the stage break. 1, potentially 2 pit stops that they're going to have to make, depending on how much green flag running we have. So a lot of strategy involved in a long night ahead for our drivers.
Very long race ahead as we move up through where some of these drivers are running. Christopher Norris has found an extra gear, starting to catch up to Cole Sketty. Sketty, surprisingly, as the long run has progressed, starting to lose some of that speed. He's been a 10th off of everyone inside of our top 5. So Christopher Norris might be able to sneak away with an easy 4th place position and pass here if we can get the job done in the next 2 to 3 laps. He's got a feeling that Cole's going to be very defensive on trying to keep these positions for himself as the laps continue to tick away. Cameron Sarton almost 2 seconds ahead of John Dart. It's defending Zach Hall, but Christopher Norris, I mean, what consistency and just raw speed this 30 has been finding these last couple of months, you could say. This has been an impressive campaign by the 38.
Yeah, it's been a great run for him. I mean, he's been up inside the top 10, top 5 pretty much, throughout the course of the season, was able to chase down Zach Hall and win at Spa when we thought that nobody was going to be able to beat that 32 machine. Norris able to get the win there. Had great speed at Martinsville until lost some track position after some contact with Brandon Colley there. Had a great top 10 run last week at Indianapolis, and here finding himself running in that of 5th position, trying to chase down 4th.
And just carrying over the momentum. Talked about how he got a win last night in the ISRC Truck Series that we cover here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Norris also runs on Wednesday nights for the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series that run the Gen 4 cars. 3 very different disciplines of racing in cars that you're dealing with. And 38's taking every little bit of knowledge and trying to carry it to each league. It's really been showing on Monday nights, but honestly, Tuesday nights have been impressive on how he's been growing as we have ourselves 4 more laps to go for Cameron Sarton to take the victory for our stage here. Other drivers, looking like everyone that's inside of our top 10, pretty solidified on where they're at position-wise. The closest battle inside of our top 10 is the battle going on for 6th and the battle for 2nd. Zach Hall and John Dart have been having their own little battles, but the one driver that's been in his own world, Cameron Sarton, 24, rocking a Jeff Gordon throwback montage of different sponsors and schemes. 24's having a great race right now with that clean air.
Yeah, just enjoying that clean air, just being able to pull away now up to 2.3 seconds over that of John Dart and Zach Hall as those two try to battle it out. And Zach, I think, just going to try to ride behind this 5 to get to the stage break if he gets a run. Going to try to take it. But, I mean, Cameron Sarton right now, I think clean air is king, and he's going to want to stay out there after this pit stop.
Gonna have to see who may be taking a strategy call on this next pit stop once the stage is over, as pit road is officially closed. Coming to the white flag of the stage as Cameron Sarton, John Dart, and Zach Hall have all been up front. Same for Cole Seghetti. Our top 4 have stayed the top 4. Our top 6, technically, are all running where they qualified. They have not been a lot of movement there. Most of the movement's been in the middle of the field where Ken Campbell has been surging forward up to 12th, has kind of stalled out on where he's at. As the white flag flies for this stage, Cameron Sarton just needs to run one more clean lap and then wait for 10th place of Andrew Medlin to cross the line before this stage is done.
Yeah, just got to get through 1 and 2, 3 and 4, get across the line. No mistakes from him. Be the stage winner and maximize his stage points for the night. And then behind him, Zach Hall is still trying to do everything he can to get by the 5 of John Dart. But I think it's going to be not going to happen for himself as they cross the line. Cole Seghetti going to be able to hang on over that of Christopher Norris, and everybody else, I think, just single files out the top 10 across the line.
Waiting for the 10th driver, Andrew Medlin, finally crossing the line, and there's your stage yellow. Congratulations to Cameron Sarton for being your stage winner, maximizing on the stage points, grabbing 10 bonus points with winning the stage. Going to be crucial for later on when we get closer to the playoffs, as, again, playoffs just in about that of 5 weeks. Always got to count that week off that we're going to have at the end of the regular season to the playoffs, as the drivers are going to enjoy themselves a good Halloween break on the 31st. But October, last month of the regular season, Cameron Sarton, I mean, the 24, he's led every lap up front, showing exactly what we saw last season for the championship race here at Phoenix. Clean air, it is almost impossible to pass that driver. You're going to have to do it in the first handful of laps. Otherwise, you're just stuck following the leader.
Yeah, it's the one downside to Phoenix that I think if you ask any driver, they'll tell you that dirty air is just a killer here at this racetrack. It makes passing so hard, especially with the different lines that you can run. Really 1 and 2, the best chance to set up a pass, but with how drivers can run that outside line and keep you pinched to the bottom, makes it difficult. So Cameron Sarton definitely doesn't want to make any pit road mistakes here. We've seen it several times under caution, drivers sliding through boxes, spinning out, getting into their boxes based off brake bias. So Sarton definitely needs a clean pit stop here to stay in that clean air and give himself the best advantage here.
We'll try to talk to Cameron Sarton after he's done with his pit stop. Don't want to distract the drivers. We've done that in the past, and you always hate it when you pull in a driver when they're going into pit road, get caught with speeding penalties, sliding through their box. So we'll give them their time to get through their service, 4 tires and fuel for the majority of the field. Looking like no one's taking the gamble of trying to take track position with a 2-tire stop. And with the 24 rolling out of pit road, let's see if we can queue up the 24 machine and see how he's feeling about how this race is going for himself. Cameron Sarton, 24 machine. It's Sam and Trevor at the booth. You got us?
Yeah, got y'all.
Well, Cam, it just looks like it's easy out front. How are you feeling, though, in the vehicle here at Phoenix?
Feeling good. Tough track tonight to where a lot of it feels like the top 15 are pretty equal, so track position is going to be really important. Luckily, I got John up here with me, so nice clean 1-2 for the stage for us, and hopefully just continue that aspect the next, oh lordy, 130 plus laps.
I mean, Cameron, we come here to Phoenix. Typically, we talk about it being tight, sometimes loose off the corner. I mean, how's the car feeling out there in the first 45 laps?
It's loose the first couple, and then it gets pretty tight with the dirty air, but when you're behind someone. So you can run low or high, you can kind of run wherever, but It's just how you put air on the nose when you're behind or next to someone. So it'll get a little loose toward the end of the run out of the corner. But overall, it's tied in, loose off. So it's a handful for sure. I'm glad I'm making it look easy because back there in traffic, I know those boys are working pretty hard.
Yeah, it looks like it's a hard battle for sure. You talked about having your teammate behind you, John Dart. How's it been working with John this week to try to get both of your cars prepared for this race?
Breeze. We work well together, and he's actually really fast in practice yesterday. So I was actually learning from him. So I guess it paid off. So I got why didn't you let me get pole when I got it? So but we'll continue on, and hopefully we can keep it right here 1-2.
Well, we're excited to see how you're going to continue to race. Good luck, Cam, on this restart, and hopefully we'll be talking to you at the end of the night.
Yeah, thanks, boys.
That's going to be Ghost Racing driver of Cameron Sarton, as, like you said, him and his teammate John Dart going to be 1-2 for the stage, and they're going to be 1-2 on this restart. I mean, Trevor, anything from that interview that surprises you, or kind of normal to hear from, say, Cameron Sarton?
No, I'd say it was fairly normal. Cars tied in, loose off. That's about what I expected. Definitely wants to be in that clean air. Kind of surprised though. He gave John a shout out how fast John was in practice. So we'll have to see if this 5 has anything for his teammate for the rest of this race.
Yeah, I mean, this has been incredible to see John. This is probably the best run he's had so far this season. We hope that it continues for his first top 5 of the season. But again, like we heard from Cam, he was trying to do the math. There is still a lot of racing action left here tonight. Going to be 136 more laps to go. Into the restart zone for the ButtKicker 300. Sarton gets the great launch. Zach Hull's going to be to the inside of the 5 as you see the field scattering off the exit of the dog leg into turn number 1. It's the 24 and the 5 in line, battling everyone from 4th on back.
And battling 4th on back with the nice thing about, Norris gets loose, hangs on to it, and that's going to stack up the field behind him as they scatter out behind him with, I believe that's the 12 of Medlins back there, the 17 of Chris Stitz, but Norris with a huge moment out of turn number 2.
And he's still feeling the loose sensation, forcing it to be 3 wide. Andrew Medlin's going to be in the bottom center, was going to be the 7, and there's still 3 wide. Christopher Moore is going to be careful as he's got Dart to the middle groove as they squeeze through the center of 1 and 2. Exit of turns 2. Travis Dart into Ken Campbell. Campbell holds with a huge slide for himself, but the wrecking further behind, it's Doug Pierce giving us a woe down, but the 39, no front bumper, huge contact for himself.
A huge contact there for Pierce. Not sure what happened to him, but Sam, I think we about had 2 wrecks up there at the front, and the wreck happened behind us. We didn't even get to see what happened to the 39.
Looked to be not as... He's got no front clip, so you expect the collision to be pretty massive. It looks like it was more of a visual collision that just kind of slipped away, as this is going to be our second driver that spins behind. It's going to be in front of him that's going to initially just kind of spook Peter Dillon, as Doug Pierce gets contact into by that of the 21 of Ross Tatum, I believe, getting some slight contact, and that of Peter Dillon gets his front nose bumped. And as we take a different look at it here, here's Doug Pierce, the incident that brought out the yellow.
Yeah, Pierce looks like he just got loose there off corner exit, gets a pretty good whack from the 21 of Ross Tatum. So that's going to be pretty significant damage, I believe, also to the front end of Ross Tatum, who was surprisingly, Sam, way back in the field after that pit cycle. Compared to where he was running in the stage, and this could be the night over for the 21.
Yeah, a huge surprise to see Ross Tatum being so far in the field, because he was up front inside of our top 7, and now he's going to be all the way back dealing with no front bumper. Luckily not required damage for the 21. Required damage is going to be given to Doug Pierce after that contact, but I believe it's just a broken wheel well for the 39, so that should be an easy fix, and he should be back out there. But the engine damage is what you're mostly concerned about for the 21 of Ross Tatum, and it's too much damage for him to handle. He has left. Ross will become our first DNF of the night. Surprised to see for the 21 and our season 3 champ.
What a swing from what was going on for Ross Tatum. I mean, like you said, was 7th at the stage, finds his way all the way back there, and I believe the 25th position, and gets caught up in an incident not of his doing, and going to cause him to be out for the night, or the runner-up from last week at Indianapolis. Early night for him here tonight.
Luckily for Ross, he already has a win this season, so he's locked into the playoffs, but surprised to see Ross already out at this point, as now up front going to be Cam Sarton, John Dart, reset How are they going to attack this restart? And especially for the drivers like Christopher Norris and a few others that were feeling that loose sensation. They never really had the time for the tires to get fully heated up. They're just going to get more cold on this heat cycle. This restart could be even more dangerous than the last one we just had.
It could be. The good thing, though, up front, if you're John Dart, you have your teammate there. You can count down the restart in the restart zone, get a good launch, clear the 32. But for a lot of these guys, especially Norris and guys that we saw struggling on those new tires, I mean, you just went on a long run. Old tires, you got used to that. Now you got to get used to having all the grip and what the car is going to do. And really easy to have slides, but great saves from Norris and the field in general when they were all stacked up on the top of each other 3 wide.
Oh, 3 wide, but at least they get to calm down, settle before this restart. And it also gives us time to shout out some of the amazing sponsors here at the Full Send Racing Series. For Season 5, a couple of old names and new faces joined on board with this series. We'll start things off with some old names, being ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Go head on over to ButtKicker.com and go get yourself a Gamer 2. It's a solid object that allows you to feel the sounds instead of just hearing them. Get more immersed with your ButtKicker today. Feel what you've been missing. And once you get your ButtKicker, go head on over to Next Level Racing, where you can grab your racing rig that can get you prepared for all the racing action. To level up your racing today, go to nextlevelracing.com to get your racing rig. They've got budgeted as well as high expensive rigs to check out. And another attachment that can help you is going to GurSim Studios. GurSim Studios, go head on over to their Etsy shop on Instagram, Facebook, and check out what Button Box could help you with your racing today. If you're a race admin or a racing driver, go on over to GurSim Studios. We'll talk about the other sponsor after this restart, because it's time for us to get back to green flag racing, the ButtKicker 300. It's been the teammates up front all night long, but will it stay that way? Here we go as the restart is off, and it's Cam Sarton with a great launch once again. John Dart with a better launch for himself to try to hold off Zach Hall here into turn number 1.
Yeah, great restart from the 2 teammates, and they're going to be able to clear Zach Hall in the 32, so Zach's going to have to settle for 3rd. Here comes the battle for 4th. Chris Stitz to the inside of the 42 of Cole Sketty. Yeah, then you got Cedric Hunter waiting to see where he can go. Norris and that of Andrew Medlin side by side, and 3 wide behind them with Ken Campbell, Travis Dart, and Will Bustler as they head off into 3 and 4.
3 and 4, place you don't usually want to see 3 wide action. You see Christopher Norris on screens right on board the 15 of Ken Campbell all the way down. That is legal playing ground to go that low. You can go even lower to that inside pit wall, but you got to make sure you set up the next corner so don't go too far down. As you see the wave of pink, thank all the drivers running the pink machines, but it is 3 wide, trying to survive for most of these drivers. And it's great to see the pink. Again, all the pink on these drivers is for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The month of October is for the pink ribbon, but drivers got to be careful for themselves. Saw there Tyler Thomas close to the outside wall through the exit of turn 4 and through the dog leg.
Yeah, Thomas got close to that outside wall, but able to stay off of it. Again, the Texas Speed guys side by side here, the 11-6, as they get that settled out of turn number 2. Up front, though, John Dart lost 2 positions to Zach Hall and Cole Sketty. Not sure what happened to the 5 as we watch that battle in back there, but a huge shakeup up front.
Yeah, looked to be back about a lap ago. Just Zach Hall put the pressure, and John Dart not able to get back on the throttle as solidly as he wanted. And stuck in the outside lane, not feeling very confident on getting on the throttle. It could cost you greatly, which it did for the 5. And now the wingman for Cameron Sarton is moved away, and it's Zach Hall putting the pressure on Cameron Sarton as John Dart aggressive on the rear end of the 42 of Cole Sketty.
Yeah, Dart wants that position back, but I tell you who's being aggressive behind him is that 15 to Ken Campbell. Was 3 wide with that of Travis Dart and Will Bustler. They cleared Bustler, almost more contact through the dog leg as Campbell continues his march forward, going to dive it all the way to the inside of the 26. Now side by side with his teammate Christopher Norris through 1 and 2. Can he make this move stick? Norris is going to have the momentum and the help from Travis Dart down the back straightaway.
I think Ken Campbell kind of found out what the combination and kind of what you're looking for this race here at Phoenix. Be aggressive. We use up these tires early on. That clean air, dirty air battle, if everyone's in line and stuck in dirty air, you're all going to be running the same pace practically. So why not use up this fresh grip, make the passes that you need to make, and you'll just take what you can until you need to come into pit road again and take the advantage later on.
Yeah, I mean, Campbell doing exactly that. Norris gets into the outside wall out of turn number 2. Another little scrape for him as he tried to get to the outside of the 26 of Travis Dart. Just going to have to fall in line. Now has pressure out back from the 1 of Will Bustler, Trey Jackson in the 88, and then Tony Brent in the 28 trying to close in. And the man who's been really quiet, the 8, Brian McCann, back there battling it out with the 6 for 14th and 15th, the 6 of Jonathan Burt back there.
Yeah, I mean, Brian McCann was quiet also last week. You think about how Indianapolis was rolling, the 8 machine. It just seems like when he comes to tracks where there's a hint of extreme looseness off the exit of the corner, the 8 kind of disappears during those races. And once again, it might be tight on entry, but the exit of the corners just maybe not feeling comfortable. Is this 8 machine? Maybe it's a strategy call. I'm curious on what's going on with Brian McCann to force him so far back. Didn't qualify well, and he's just stuck in 14th.
Yeah, it's about where he finished the stage and really hasn't moved up since, under pressure from Jonathan Burt in the 6. Kind of split by the Texas Speed guys. He's got Tony Brent in front of him, Jonathan Burt, Tyler Thomas behind him. So just kind of stuck there in no man's land in 14th, just trying to ride out and see if he can move forward if we get a long green flag run.
And it's kind of been a 2-week fray for this 8 machine. I mean, 2 weeks ago, got his first non-top 5, top 10 finish, 11th at Martinsville. Last week he finished 15th. It's just been a weird, fluky slump that this 8 machine has fallen into. The dominance in the first half of the season, getting 4 wins. Odd to see. I'm expecting a big swing to see Brian McCann back into the fight, but seeing also Tony Brent talk about how he was so good at the surprising, shocking victory at the start of the season off, finished identical with Cameron Sarton at the line. Will the 28 be able to double down at the super speedways and win next week, or could he assist one of his Texas Speed teammates that can lock them into the playoffs? A lot of helpfulness. I think next week's wildcard race is going to be even more interesting when you look at the point situation on how drivers can be in or out of the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm excited to get back to a plate race. I mean, you think back to that Daytona race with the finishes in the duels, the stage, and then the tie across the line for the win. It makes me excited to get back to a plate track to see what we can get with Tony Brent. Not wasting any time here trying to get by the 88 of Trey Jackson, move his way forward, and try to get inside the top 10.
Pass. A little advancement is a good one to have from Trey Jackson, who did a lot of fill-in driving in the early part of the season. Was able to switch over to full-time in his own vehicle, and it's been a great action for the 88 as he's been consistently inside of our top 15 for most of the season. Brent trying to do his best, but the inside just doesn't look like it's strong enough, starting to fade away as we're in that transitional phase of the race where the outside lane is just more dominant through 1 and 2 unless there's a mistake. As Brian McCann sees an opening, they'll send it to the inside on the 28 machine. Aggressive moves back here as Brian McCann thought that he was lost on where he was going. Instead, this group of 5 drivers put on a show in the middle of the field.
Yeah, it was really aggressive down there into 3 and 4, made it 3 wide, had to back out of it though, and that cost him a lot of momentum. Now going to see Jonathan Burt to his inside as he tries to figure out if he can get by the, say, Tyler Thomas in the 10, or I'm sorry, in the 11 right behind. Oh, and McCann into the outside wall attitude.
Huge rush for the 8 machine. Just seems like mistakes are showing up. That big sweeping move to the inside has backfired dramatically. It's just been a snowball effect of bad moment, growing and growing for the 8 machine. And as the middle of the field kind of starting to calm down slightly, the action's ramping up front. Zach Hall, as well as Cameron Sarton, our leaders, right on top of one another. Zach Hall hasn't been able to poke the nose to go for a pass just yet for the lead. This 32, his window of making a pass might be dwindling away here shortly.
Yeah, got around that of John Dart, ran all the way to the back bumper of the 24 of Cameron Sarton, but just kind of been stuck there. Hasn't found an opening to get to the inside or get a run to the outside of this 24 to maybe upset him, throw his line off, and give Zach Hall an opportunity as we ride on board in the roof cam here as he chases down the 24, but this gap kind of staying steady at about 0.3 of a second as Zach finds any kind of weakness in the 24.
Right on board with Zach Hall, as it's not just pink and decals on the outside, also giving the roll bar some pink decals as well. As the 32 gets right along and see what it's like down into turn number 1. You can see that black line. That's a seam that the drivers are aiming for on the entry. And it's interesting. Some drivers like to swing it wide off the exit. Zach being very aggressive, trying to point to that yellow line off the exit of turn 2. Then through 3 and 4, it's about staying low, get either to the yellow line or stay at that seam. And Trevor, that lap looked neat and tidy for Zach Hall.
Yeah, it looked pretty neat and tidy. Looking at the time, it was about 200s quicker than our leader, but pretty equal time between those two. As again, here you can see Zach move up just a little bit, taking a late arc to the bottom of the racetrack, getting to that yellow line a little bit sooner than Cameron Sarton does, set up a good run down here, down the back straightaway, but again, just really nowhere for him to go as they dive it again down into turn number 3.
And there's different ways you can tackle these corners, and for 3 and 4, it's kind of everyone tackles that corner the same way. They all try to aim to stay low at that yellow line. It's turns 1 and 2 where you really get the change of how you want to tackle it. You can have an early apex point where you turn sooner than where you want. You can have a late apex point like we just saw Zach be running, and other drivers might be just doing a long sweeping corner, and those different styles are going to be big things to watch out for themselves on how do you want to attack these corners, those different styles on how they're going to help you either for the short run or for the long run.
Yeah, Phoenix is such an interesting track. You think 1 and 2 kind of reminds me similar to kind of a New Hampshire, really kind of flat, but it gives you three to 4 lanes of distinct lines that you can run to set yourself up. 1 and 2, your typical kind of mile and a half. Think of it like 3 and 4 in Kentucky. Turns 1 and 2 in Texas, everybody down around that white line. But once you cross that start-finish line, I mean, the track is basically wide open with dog leg in 1 and 2. So it really sets you up for how you feel like driving, what you feel like is best for these drivers, gives them plenty of opportunity to kind of change things up.
These drivers inside of that zone where it was difficult to make any type of passes, a mistake will give you a chance to attack. And so for us here tonight, it's going to be one of those races where you got to look and see internally. Is it going to be a setup for a pass, or are you going to find yourself trying to set up for a pit stop pass for yourself here tonight as the drivers are getting themselves set up for tonight's race as they continue to stay in line. We will be stepping away for a quick moment. We come back. It's going to be more racing action here for the Full Send Racing Series. It's race number 12 of the season. Just 3 more for the regular season after tonight, as it's the ButtKicker 300 here this evening at Phoenix. It's been a good one so far. Just a couple of cautions. We'll be back right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Trish on the bottom. Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Apromitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Full Send Racing Series. My name is Sam Dyer. With me up in the booth is Trevor Earhart, as well as Robert Warrior Jr. running productions. Huge shout out to Steve Benjamin, who's running race control for the drivers here tonight. As you're watching the ButtKicker 300 at Phoenix Raceway, it's race number 12 of the season. 3 more races after this before the regular season is over and we begin playoffs. And drivers that are needing some crucial points are having some great days today, such as the 17 of Chris Stitz you see on screen, the 5 of John Dart. Crucial points that both those drivers are aiming for. Same for Andrew Medlin. If you're needing a good day, they're showing out here this evening, as the drivers had a long one for tonight's race, 186 laps in total. We had a stage break earlier on at the end of lap 45 that ended where Cameron Sarton found himself being the stage winner. Trevor, it's been a wild one so far, but certainly the drivers, they're starting to feel that tension on the tire wear as they've been 40 laps into this run, and it seems to be that we're seeing some trying to get by lap traffic, others starting to have their own troubles with their vehicles.
Yeah, it's lap traffic, getting through lap traffic. The other guys starting to maybe struggle a little bit on tires. The other guys really getting into the rhythm on these old tires. You see McCann going for a pass on the 1 of Will Bustler. He's been able to get around Tony Brent, the 88 of Trey Jackson, who was up there in front of these guys, starting to struggle a little bit. He's fallen back into the clutches of Jonathan Burt and the 11 of Tyler Thomas there. So it's in that ebb and flow stage. Who's done a good job saving and who's really damaged their tires in this run.
Maximize what you've got, as Brian McCann, we talked about how he's kind of being slow. He's up 6 positions now, trying to get by Will Bustler and confirm that pass for himself. Others are just settling in. Also, if you're just joining us, you might be wondering, well, what's up with all the pink? Well, October is the month of breast cancer awareness, known for its pink ribbon that's flown around. And for drivers, they want to give their own support for breast cancer awareness. So drivers are putting on a little bit of pink in all different shades and colors. As for some, they've announced that they will continue to run these vehicles for the rest of the month. Others are just running it for this race, so we appreciate all those that participated in running the pink machine. As Brian McCann, big wiggle off the exit and came back onto the track from that of the dog leg. That apron isn't the safest place to be, but it is the shortest way to get around this track.
The shortest way to get around the track, and another big wiggle there out of 2 as McCann really started to maybe feel the tire wear on that inside line. But like you said, not safe. That transition across the dog leg really aggressive on these race cars, and you can really see it upset the race cars, and McCann trying to do everything he can to get this pass done, but actually going to give up a spot to the 28 of Tony Brent. So it goes from battling with the 1 of Will Bustler now to back here battling with the 28.
And we're in that zone where the outside lane is just the more preferred place to be. You just cannot carry the momentum and speed as well as you could once you hit the backstretch, and Brian McCann continues to fall back as race control. Steve Benjamin giving us information of we are halfway through this race, and as we're at the halfway marker, you're seeing drivers making the passes by the 44 of Kurtz Velechka, who's 1 lap down, still just trying to survive here tonight. We've had 3 drivers have some major incidences, being Peter Dillon, Ross Tatum, Doug Pierce. Ross Tatum officially is the only driver that's called it a night. Still getting repairs is Pierce and Dillon. But as these drivers continue to put on a great show, another show that you can check out that is the last sponsor that helps out the Full Send Racing Series, that is On the Throttle Podcast. It's a podcast that posts weekly as the last time that they uploaded was yesterday, talking about the Daytona finish for real-life NASCAR. And Ryan Blaney getting the win, episode 73 of the On the Throttle podcast with William Duff and Trey, talking about real-life racing and all different aspects. Go check it out now on Spotify and other podcast channels, as well as check out their Instagram, On the Throttle Podcast, today. Thank you again to all the major sponsors, the On the Throttle, ButtKicker, Next Level Racing, that Gersim Studios, and all the others that have helped out as well for Season 5 of the Full Send Racing Series. It's been a fabulous season for us to call. It's been a joy, and the racing as well that you can see on screen. It's been a pleasure to cover and watch as the battle between those that want to be up front inside of our top 7. It's on. Travis Dart, Andrew Medlin. Who's going to get this spot now?
Yeah, these two have been going at it for a while now, and Travis Dart just hasn't been able to get by the 12 of Andrew Medlin. You can see the 15 of King Campbell behind them. At one point, gotten by both of them, now falling back a little bit. Christopher Norris, I mean, really struggled from the get-go after the stage break. He's all the way back there in 10th, but Dart doing everything he can, just following in line behind that 12 to see if he can maybe upset him, get a better run here. Going to take a look to the inside, down the back straightaway, and try to force this 12 machine up the racetrack here through 3 and 4 and maybe get a better run and cut this dog leg.
Trying to set it up, but just not even get back on the throttle, giving too much space as Travis Dart, as Medlin drops down, cuts off the 26 machine, and Travis Dart's going to have to wait another lap as Medlin survives another go-around. But for this field, as we're marching closer and closer to 100 laps in this race completed, we weren't given the complete number on when we were expecting drivers to make pit stops, but there is a window we're expecting with these drivers. Either around now or within 30 laps is when we're expecting drivers to make their one and only green flag pit stop. Question is, who's going to be willing to take the first stop? Because the tire wear has been pretty bad on how much has dropped off. Our fastest driver, Cameron Sarton, who's had the clean air and able to preserve his tires, he's only off by about a second and 1.2 seconds off of his time, while everyone else is almost a second and a half slower than their fastest time. So a very big disparity on how dirty air has been influencing these tires.
Yeah, and the drop off second and a half, not as bad as what we see at other tracks, but definitely I think you're going to want to be in the kind of the middle of that pit cycle whenever it does start on when you come into pit road. You don't want to be the first guy on pit road because I think you're really going to struggle later on in the run. And if you're the last guy on pit road, I think it's really going to be a struggle to get by these drivers. So you want to be kind of somewhere in the middle of it when pit cycles do start.
Yeah, I mean, I agree completely with that thought of that middle driver is going to be the key one on who's going to maybe get the win here tonight. Also, when drivers start to pit, who's going to be in the better positioning if a caution flag was to come out. As we take a look here at the 9, Brian L. Wilson had a major spot where he hit the outside wall, then the inside wall. Didn't get required damage, but still out on track and on the lead lap, battling for 25th for Brian L. Wilson. He was one of those drivers that was just on the cut line through most of the regular season on being inside of our top 12. It's really fallen off the last couple of weeks on some good finishes. The 9, at least survival mode here tonight, but honestly, he needs to really step up his game if he's going to make the playoffs, because those other drivers that have already surpassed him in positioning and points, they continue to be up front in our top 10, which we look at some of the drivers that are just inside of our top 20. Looking at the battling action between the 3 of Ryan Lynch, Tyler Thomas, as well as William Duff. William Duff rocking that On the Throttle podcast 77 machine. He's trying to hold back the 6, but Ryan Lynch, great run for himself, up 7 positions. Duff up 11. These are some of our bigger movers of the day so far.
Yeah, Lynch not a great qualifying run, and Duff looking for a solid run throughout the course of the night. I mean, it seems like the last couple of weeks just been caught up in some other people's incidences and hasn't been able to get a solid finish. And Duff looking for a solid maybe top 15 finish, but able to get to the inside of the 3 of Ryan Lynch and get that pass done. And now he tries to close in on the 11 of Tyler Thomas there in front of him. So great run for these two considering how far back in the field they started.
Yeah, I mean, Duff really one of those drivers that's been trying to aim for a top 15 finish most weeks. It's been up and down of either a 16th or it's a 28th to 30th place position finish for himself. Ryan Lynch just continues to struggle right now for the 3 machine as 77 actually running pretty stable. You look at how he's running. I mean, his car's looking on rails compared to his competition around.
Yeah, looking really good for himself, closing in on the 11 machine. Then he's got Trey Jackson in front of them, and then the battling that's really been back and forth in front of that, which is Will Bustler, Brian McCann, and Tony Brent. But William Duff, I gotta say, Sam, I'm right there with you, looking really kind of solid right now in this part of the run.
And if you keep on running steady laps, more that you're not slipping and sliding, that's protecting your tires, and as well, it's going to help you on the long run as this progresses forward. Your other competition really utilizing the track, trying to hit every mark they can. 77. I think the only weak part I could say for William Duff is his entry to turn 3. Maybe a little bit too aggressive on the entry point, but leading this pack, touched on it. That of Will Butler, Brian McCann, Tony Brent. These three drivers, shocking that we're talking about Will Butler and Brian McCann outside of the top 10, as they're both known for being pretty stout drivers up front. But it's McCann, once again, being slow and methodical here tonight, trying to get crack into 11.
And trying to get up there to see if he maybe crack into the top 10. Just kind of been stuck here. These three drivers really have switched around this 11th, 12th, and 13th position between the three of them. I think probably 20 times in the last in the last handful of laps. Is somebody will get a run, somebody will get loose, and they just go back and forth. And McCann really struggling, it looks like, off of turn number 2. I've seen the inside of Will Butler a couple of times get loose, have to give that position back. So right now, these three just trying to do everything they can to maybe gain a position, hopefully pull away. But right now, just stuck on top of one another. And actually, this whole little group, all the way back to Jonathan Burt in the 6th, kind of all on top of one another.
Yeah, that's from 11th all the way back to 18th, all in this cluster, in this pod. And there's just small pods that seem to be popping up. This is the biggest one so far here tonight of all those drivers. Others are groups of 2, maybe groups of 4. Our leader completely on his own. Our top about 5, all pretty equal distance of about a second to a second and a half apart from one another. As we see here at 17, Chris Stitz with John Dart. Dart has fallen back to 5th, but still, John's having a great run so far. He's only gotten himself top 10s this season for the 5, looking for his first top 5 of the season. But top 10s are still great for how those 5's been running. Chris Stitz, he's been on a slump these last couple of weeks, but he's been on the push to try to steal a spot in the playoffs, who we know can get into victory lane. I mean, he got the win here back in season 2, the first inaugural time they ran here at Phoenix. 17 knows how to be fast. He's gotten a lot of wins in the past, but tonight it's now aiming for a top 5.
Yeah, I think it's kind of pick off what you can and make sure you don't make any mistakes and you lose yourself some track position or some time, and you'll have yourself a pretty solid night. Trying to run down John Dart, but Dart, after falling back a little bit on that restart, done a really good job to just hang in there. And maybe a little bit of an internet issue for Chris Stitz, and there he is. It's about his once per race internet outage, but it looks like he was able to stay in the server for himself, so a pretty good little moment there for the 17 is that of Cameron Sargent. Sam pulled away from Zach Hall. They were bumper to bumper at one point. How this gap almost up to 2 seconds.
But here is going to be the first true challenge for Cameron Sargent. He hasn't dealt with a lot of dirty air. There's only been one lap car in front that gets out of the way cleanly and quickly. Well, let's have some competition. We got drivers that are battling for positions as well as trying to stay on the lead lap. You've got the 44 of Curtis Valechka, expecting him to stay high and out of the way. But Philip Chavez, Alex Jones, next 2 drivers after this 44, how are they going to react with their leader closing in behind?
Yeah, it's going to be the question. Will it cost the 24 some time to Zach Hall? How much will that dirty air upset this 24 machine? He hasn't been in it all night long. Like you said, the lap cars have just kind of gotten out of his way. And here tonight, going to have to catch up to some guys on the tail end of the lead lap that are desperately going to want to stay there in case a caution comes out, and who are racing their own little battles there. And so what is it going to do for the 24 Cameron Sargent? I think Zach Hall on pit road.
Into pit road as well. First driver was the 38 of Christopher Norris, but a lot of front runners following suit a lap after, as it's the 4 Brian of David McConnell, Zach Hall, Cole Sketty, Cedric Hunter, and many more. It is a train of drivers into pit road. And Cameron Sargent, as he closes in on lap traffic, he's one of the last drivers really to come into pit road, as himself, John Dar, Chris Stitz. There's just a handful of drivers still need to come in pit road. You see the 24 aggressively into the line. Don't want to make any mistakes for yourself, but that pit line is so far ahead, and yellow flag strikes right in the middle of the pit cycle.
Oh, this is going to be interesting to see where this pulls out, and I believe that's the 77 of William Duff.
William Duff, who we were just praising on having a great run, looking stable. One bad mistake, exit at turn 4, and it all goes up in smoke so quickly. as you see here through 3 and 4, exits the corner and just loses the rear end so quickly, keeps his foot in the throttle, and it just jams right into that pit wall.
Yeah, just lost it on corner exit, trying to keep the car off of the 11 of Tyler Thomas, and then just you run out of, you got so much room, but then you run out of it so quickly, and hard contact to the inside wall. And what was a great night for the 77 machine, gonna end here prematurely for himself, and then also right in the middle of pit stop cycle. So what's this gonna do for the field? How is this gonna shake up our running order?
That's the thing that's confusing right now, is we don't know who's going to be able to take the wave around and who's not, because the timing was like dead center on half the field had already come into pit road and we're a lap down. Some were 2 laps down. Some just entered pit road. I don't believe anyone was caught entering a closed pit stall, but I mean closed pit entry. But man, we got a lot of drivers trying to take a wave around, and I don't think it's going to hurt them too badly. But for those that pitted first, this is critical for themselves, and it looks like Cameron Sargent will be able to keep the lead with the timing of that yellow coming out.
I mean, you want to talk about a lucky break for the 24 machine on pit road. Caution comes out. Everybody that stayed out pits. He stays on the lead lap. He inherits the lead and really doesn't put any hurt on those tires. And the biggest loser out of all this is going to be those guys who pit early. Christopher Norris, Zach Hall, the 7 of Cedric Hunter, and all those guys that made their pit stop the lap earlier. This is really going to set them further back in the field.
I mean, but the timing that they came into the pit road, Cameron Sargent had it past most of them for the second time. One driver, though, that is very critical on the time that he came into pit road, Brian McCann, the 8 machine, was not able to be in front of the leader. The 8 will stay 1 lap down, not even able to get the lucky dog spot. That's tough for Brian McCann. This could be his worst finish of the night if we don't get a lot of cautions building up after this.
Yeah, and kind of the way this race is going, I don't expect to see a lot of cautions. Now, that being said, I mean, we are getting toward the end of this race, so we could see the aggression level bump up. But with how Phoenix is, Sam, I mean, unless it's a single car spin out of the corner, you know, with how this race has gone, I think this thing might run out another long green flag run, so this could really hurt the 8 of Brian McCann.
And with the 1 lap advantage, didn't look like it was a lot of wear and tear on those tires. Cameron Sargent's probably going to basically have still a fresh set to work with Chris Stitz behind. But for those that are taking the wave around, they're going to be stuck at the tail end of the line, led by Zach Hall. He's going to be mired all the way back in 16th position. That is tough for some of the fastest drivers that already had to make their way to stay up front. No, recognizing track position was so critical, and now they're going to have to even work through they're going to have to work through traffic to get back into the fight between themselves and Cameron Sargent and Stitz. I guess it might be between them on who's going to get the win here tonight.
It could come down to who gets the win between those two. I mean, Sargent's biggest competitor, Zach Hall, all the way back in the back of the field. But I mean, just look at the names that have been back outside the top 10 all night long that are now up here at the front of the field because of this. Trey Jackson's up in 4th. Tyler Thomas up there. Ryan Lynch, Jay Becker, Chris Melton, who I don't think we've talked about all night, up inside the top 10. Alex Jones, Sam Siegel, and Brian Wilson as well, almost inside the top 10. I mean, all these guys running back there, 15th on back, but because of the timing of that caution, now up inside our top 10.
But isn't this such a Melton thing? It usually feels like we get to this coming to the final quarter of a race. Melton just surprisingly is inside of our top 15 when he's been back in 20th to 25th position all night long. We'll see how the 93 can try to stay up front and hold back the threat of everyone else behind. But with all those fast drivers trying to catch up to the lead pack, this could be a very scary restart for these drivers. Who can hold on? Who's going to be ready? It's time to go back to green flag action for the ButtKicker 300 as Cameron Sargent and Chris Stitz going to be the 2 drivers that take off immediately. The 24, best launch you could ask for. Everyone else pretty scattered, not a lot of action on top of one another, but it's going to be the charge of the faster drivers. First the new, Jay Becker's loose. Watch out for the 10, he's on the inside, as he's going to be completely out of this race. Everyone's able to get by the 10, which is a bad entry, and oh no, other drivers wrecking. Gridlock, the big one. Oh, it completely scatters. Oh,
it's a parking lot.
It just couldn't react in time. Too many drivers got loose off the exit of turn 2, and an explosion of rage and anger. Just all those fast drivers that were caught with the pit stop cycle yellow, now dealing with extra damage. It goes from bad to worse for those folks.
I saw Tony Brent spin through 1 and 2, and Apparently that wasn't the only wreck going on, as we had a parking lot there out of turn number 2. And here we go. We get a look and see what happened here. Brian Wilson forced almost 3 wide with Will Bustler. You see the 8 of McCann there. Christopher Wade, the 101 of Philip Chavez, and maybe contact here on corner exit, Sam?
I mean, they're running up on top of one another, trying to make it through the corner. I think Tony Brent might have just lost it on his own. And then other drivers just... it was just multiple drivers getting loose, and there was nowhere for anyone to go. It was the 9 breaking loose, the 28 breaking loose, and then no one able to slow down once they caught up to the incidences, and just madness ensues here. As you see Christopher Norris, he doesn't recognize that there's a car just parked there. He tries to go around, lifts the 9 up, other drivers trying to scatter, and Philip Chavez, I think he skates away probably the cleanest of anyone, but when Norris hit the 9, it came back down and just caused a wall of competition of drivers not able to slow down in time.
Yeah, I think we had 3 separate wrecks. Jay Becker got loose, the 28 of Tony Brent got loose, and something happened up in front of them with the 8 of McCann. You can see Becker down there on the apron here through 1 and 2. You're going to see the 28 of Tony Brent. He's going to break sideways up in front of these guys right here in front of Norris. And then something happens up there in front. It's the 9 of Wilson, the 101 of Chavez, the 8 of McCann that gets caught up in that. And hard contact for the 32, the 38 of Christopher Norris.
Yeah, I mean, that other incident you were talking about, it was just the 9 breaking loose. And in front of the field, Philip Chavez then runs into the 9, but it's the 4 of David McConnell that runs into Brian McCann that gets him loose, and it just turns into a huge pileup. The big one, striking for a 4th caution of the day. Over 7 drivers had required damage after this incident, and still 3 sit in pit road waiting for their damage repair to be completely fixed up. Christopher Norris still getting repairs, Brian McCann as well. Doug Pierce already was in pit road with major damage, but there were a heavy amount of folks still getting damage repaired for themselves, as you just see everyone sitting in pit road thinking, what in the world just happened?
Restarts at Phoenix. I mean, anything can happen. They get crazy, and just like that, new tires. And again, it goes back to the same thing, I talked about at the stage break. You get used to how the car reacts on old tires. You go in there on new tires thinking it's going to stick, and just breaks loose on you on those cold tires out of turn number 2. And just like that, a huge incident there down the back straightaway.
And for the drivers up front, I mean, that's so much of your competition that you were worried about now out of this race with so much damage that they're going to have to deal with all night long. And Cameron Sarton, though, was able to gift a couple of positions. The 42 is going to be moving up to around 15th position for himself. There's a lot of drivers in front, though, that are dealing with some heavy damage. That's surprising that they grabbed for some. But, man, that incident was a wild one for everyone to deal with.
You want to talk about lucky. I mean, Cameron Sarton, that caution comes out, 45 seconds later, he pits a lap sooner. He's right there back in the back of the pack with Zach Hall, Brian McCann, easily be involved in that. But I think he might have the 4-leaf clover, the horseshoe, whatever you want to say it, on the dashboard of that 24 machine tonight with kind of how lucky he was when that caution came out on that pit cycle.
I mean, extremely lucky on that incident, on that pit cycle, yellow coming out and able to stay up front as we enter another restart. Well, this one caused some calamity as we are back to green flag action. We have lost Brian McCann. He's officially out of this race. Many of other drivers still sitting in pit road, seeing how this race is going to conclude for themselves. Others are so slow, and the field has to scatter around, but up front, it's all going to be Cam Sarton as well as Chris Stitz. Exit turn 2, they're all clean up front.
Almost an incident through the dog leg with the 28 of Tony Brent. Came across the nose of the 101 of Philip Chavez. They almost got into one another. Cedric Hunter all the way into the inside wall through 3 and 4, trying to get a pass done. Here comes the 42 of Cole Skiddy trying to get around Jay Becker, who's missing the front end of that 10 machine. So everybody just stacked up on top of one another, trying to get these passes done while they can on fresh tires.
Yeah, Jay Becker grabbing that front end damage after a late arc break and the accident that already happened, but he's going to be trying to still move along. Sam Siegel has to go into pit road as he grabbed the black flag after the incident, and now the rest of the field is trying to figure out how do we just settle in and tackle, trying to stay up front. Cam Sarton's thinking, well, if this race stays green, this is all mine to carry out from here on out.
Yeah, Cameron's biggest rivals of this race all taken out.
Cedric
Cedric
Hunter spinning down in the apron, able to hold on, able to stay on the apron, and will continue to move forward. Just another bad entry into the corner, and gets on to finding himself slight contact from Christopher Melton that pushed him down to the apron. A huge save though from Cedric Hunter, and once again you got these drivers that were once racing for back in 20th, 15th position. They're running with these drivers that were up front battling for a top 10 race, and with that speed difference, some drivers just not anticipating these wrecks or passes or made moves as quickly as you would expect as Melton. Burt, they're running for 8th place, and this is drivers, like I've said, that you were just running for 20th position just about 20 laps ago.
Yeah, I mean, these are all drivers that really, you think about it, it's kind of like a mix match between, who's been up front all night, who's been in the back all night. So drivers you haven't technically or theoretically been around in a long time, and you haven't learned how they're racing, how they're entering the corner. And right there, a huge move from the 6 of Jonathan Burt. The crossover from Melton gets Melton back by the 6. A little bit of a wiggle, a slide from both of them. They hang on to it. More contact made down the back straightaway. The 42 of Sacchetti just sitting there watching, waiting, hoping they don't wreck in front of him as that battle continues through 3 and 4.
And Sacchetti, you can't just say, hey, I'm a lead lap driver, I'm trying to get by lap cars. He's just saying, hey, let me by. I know I'm faster. You're slowing me down. And they're going to be 3 wide now, entering turns 1 and 2. Going to be seeing that of Sacchetti able to make the pass. So that Cedric Hunter going to go for round number 2 with Melton. Will he survive this go around? Is Melton? And no, he won't. Caught up again. Round 2 did not go its way. Sacchetti's caught up in it, and it's another wreck on the backstretch.
And it was contact with Melton, and it just chaos ensued there, Sam. And everybody got on top of one another there off corner exit at turn number 2. And round number 2, carnage on the back straightaway.
More drivers going to be caught up in this wreck, and incidents flail up as 3 more drivers with incidences. Curtis Valechka came in late, gets more contact and required damage. Cedric Hunter, Christopher Melton required damage for themselves. And Cole Sacchetti, who looked to be the one driver dealing with no damage after that initial big one, well, he's now caught up in this. As you see, the field just breaks loose, comes down, collects one another. And just a mangled mess. And if we continue to watch, that is Cedric Hunter. So he's just going to let his car park for a second, then roll back. And that's where Curtis Valechka is going to roll in and grab his required damage. That is going to get him into pit road. And just a bizarre moment to see for these drivers.
Oh. Yeah, Cedric, Curtis not really doing anything wrong, just kind of cruising, through on the bottom side of the wreck. Cedric Hunter just backs into the 44 machine who, just out there running his own race, trying to, just log laps, get some experience in these Xfinity cars, as he's typically more of a road racer, and just caught up in an incident there. And for the 42, Sam Sacchetti, I'm not sure that he got into the outside wall all that much. Might have been the luckiest one in that incident. Didn't come away with a whole lot of damage.
He lucks into it, but he's been in pit road for an extended amount of time trying to get repairs done. So I think he does have some type of damage that he feels like needs to get repaired at this current time. Most of the field enters pit road to get service done. And now it's a question of how many drivers haven't been caught up in a mess. As I believe only about 10 or 12 of the 30 that started here tonight still have a pristine vehicle. But man, like we said at most short tracks, cautions breed cautions, and it is certainly starting to show. And let's try again on what cold tires are going to bring for the field.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say it. The curse of the commentator, this one's on me this week, Sam. I just said, right when we got back after that caution, that I thought it was going to go green, and here we are, 2 quick cautions, and, I'll say curse of the commentator.
We like to wave around our power every once in a while, and sometimes it's for the good of the audience and for drama. Otherwise, it's for the curse of the drivers, and the power is always fun to have when we say certain phrases and to see, hey, is the opposite going to happen, or will we be calling the predictions correctly, as looks to be McConnell as well as others trying to get the wave around to get back at least one of their few laps back for themselves. But your drivers inside of the top 5 going to be Cameron Sarton, Chris Stitz, Trey Jackson, Travis Dart, and Will Bustler, with Tyler Thomas, Jonathan Burt, Christopher Wade, Jay Beckert, and Alex Jones, the rest of your top 5. Your top 2 makes sense. Everyone else, where did the rest of the competition go? It's going to be the question for a lot of folks. Have been watching all night long. You've known there's been a couple of big wrecks. Some of the fastest drivers of the night are done dealing with catastrophic damage that they're still trying to get repairs for. Others just trying to survive the night. And I mean, Trevor, there's not much that you can do once you're stuck in the back half of the field, because it seems like when one wreck happens, everyone's involved.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot you can do when something happens in front of you. The track closes up pretty quickly, as it is kind of narrow down the back straightaway there. So good drivers being unlucky. But yeah, the top 10, it's kind of like, where did these guys come from? Some cars with damage, other cars without damage, some guys that were in danger of going a lap down now up there inside the top 10. But stack them up, do it again, Sam, as we get ready to enter the restart zone.
As the field, going to be around 19 drivers attached up front and ready for this restart. Others just leaving pit road and into the restart zone. It's go time for the ButtKicker 300 at Phoenix. As the 24 Cameron Starr and Chris Ditz, they get the great launch, but watch out for the cold tires here. Saw a lot of slip and slide on the entry in turn 1 before. Will they make it through 1 and 2?
That's going to be the real question. It's going to be Trey Jackson, Travis Starr side by side for third position. Well, behind them, Will Bustler gets around Tyler Thomas in the 11 machine. It's going to be the battle for third. It's still going to be side by side halfway down the back straightaway as they head off into 3 and 4.
Maybe the damage being so slow, it's allowing drivers to survive 1 and 2, 3 and 4, back on the throttle. Drivers trying to make sure they stay neat and tidy off the exit. Looks like for at least our front runners, they're good to be taking off the battle for third place. Travis Starr, Trey Jackson looking like a good one. Will Bustler now getting into the mix. But everyone else, it's a question of how much damage are you truly dealing with? Cole Sketty's going to be the big one that we circle up. How can the 42 try to make his march? Now in 10th place, trying to catch up to this battling action between the 88 and the 1.
Yeah, Bustler trying to get by Trey Jackson. There goes the 26. Travis Starr in hard contact with the one of Will Bustler.
Will Bustler going to be involved with this one, and also Will Bustler gets spun around by the 11 of Tyler Thomas later on. And once again, those cold tires being the threat of the night. Another spin out and some innocent victims being collected in it.
We were just watching that battle, and Travis Starr off turn number 4 trying to get back on the power, loses the rear end, and nowhere for the one of Will Bustler to go. Tyler Thomas, nowhere for him to go as well. And 3 more cars, Sam. Three more cars involved in an incident here.
And poor Will Bustler, with the amount of hard contact that he took, he is going to be forced into pit road. More required damage for these front runners that were looking pristine. And it just continues to see that number ticking away of drivers without incidences here tonight. And what makes it even more, maybe frustrating for the drivers, for others, still a lot of hope. We got 50 still laps to go here tonight. Anything can happen in these laps, and we still also have overtime if needed later on.
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to really look like a short track. I mean, the question now is how many cars don't have damage out there on the racetrack. I think mainly it's our top 3 that really don't have any damage to them. But what will we see in these last 50 laps? Will it eventually calm down and go green? Will we get to those overtime attempts? And if we get to those overtime attempts, how many cars are going to be left that have full power?
That's going to be a great question to have. But for us, we will step away one more time. When we come back, we'll see how many more caution flags will these drivers breed, or will we be able to survive to continue on. As you're watching the Full Send Racing Series, race number 12, as the field seeing who's going to win tonight at the ButtKicker 300 at Phoenix Raceway. It's been a good one, and we will be back right after this for more racing action.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second spot, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Trish on the bottom. Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh my
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Apromitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
And we are back to green flag action for the ButtKicker 300. Cameron Starr and Chris Stitz will be your front 2. Trey Jackson in 3rd. Those are your 3 drivers that have not been caught up in too many incidences here tonight. The rest of the field, it's been survival mode for the last 40 laps. Ever since we crest over that lap 100 marker, it's been a lot of madness the drivers have been dealing with. But currently, it's all been the 24 here tonight. Cole Sacchetti has been on the charge trying to rebound after being caught up in a couple of wrecks. But the 42 has done a great job so far, but he's up to where he was at right before he got caught up in the last mess, where he was next to Jonathan Burt. The 6, the 42, exited turn 2, looking pretty swell as they enter turn 3. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up in the booth is Trevor Earhart. Also have Rob Moore Jr. up in the booth running productions. Trevor, this race has been a lot of ups and downs. We had the stage for the first 45 laps where we had no yellows, but ever since then, we've had a couple of long green flag runs, but man, has it been a madness of unknowns the last about 40.
Yeah, I mean, you go back, the stage break ran green. We ran into a green flag pit cycle with a caution in the middle of that, and then since then, it's been caution after caution, but now maybe starting to settle out as drivers dealing with damage, drivers dealing with cars that have been fixed. They all kind of settle in now and figure out where they are, how much damage their cars really have, and see where they stack up against the rest of the field. Cole Sacchetti being one of those that has damage, but doesn't look like it's affecting him too much. We look further back in the field. Here's the 4 of David McConnell. He's trying to run down the 28 of Tony Brent. Zach Hall, who was caught up in a wreck earlier on, he's back there just inside the top 10, I believe, just trying to hold on and get a good, solid finish for himself.
And with the amount of drivers that have been caught up in messes, something that we don't get to see or say very often, all of Texas speed that is running here tonight inside of the top 10. You've got David McConnell in 10th, Tony Brent in 9th, also Tyler Thomas in 6th, and Jonathan Burt in 5th. Usually you see maybe one of them in the top 10. Then the rest are battling for 15th or 20th. All of them inside of the top 10 just showing, hey, they might have grabbed some damage here or there, but they're still able to continue the fight up front.
That's the team that never gives up. I mean, it seems like every week we'll see a Texas speed car have some kind of issue, and then later in the race we're talking about them as they've worked their way back up in the field through their issues, so those guys don't give up, and right now all of them inside the top 10 trying to get a good finish for themselves as they all run around here, trying to get by one another, get by Zach Hall, and those guys move up to the 6th, and Jonathan Burt, who's up there in that 5th position, the highest running of those guys, just behind Cole Sacchetti, who just got by him. Watching him try to run down the 88 of Trey Jackson.
And Jonathan Burt, as we run on board with the 6 machine, one of the 5 drivers that I gave note at the start of the broadcast that are fighting for the final 2 spots in the playoffs. As the points are so close between that of 11th in points down to 14th in points. Those drivers all within 10 points of one another. Just a good race like tonight could put Jonathan Burt even closer to that battle to be inside of our top 12 of points before the playoffs are done. But I'm concerned about the 6. Main reason why exited 2 has been getting more and more dangerous on the 6, getting into that outside wall. That tight end, loose up action. It's been hurting the 6 here as he inches closer and closer, even on the center of the corner for himself.
Yeah, trying to take that high arc through the center of the corner, get a good run on corner exit. You got to be careful that you don't get loose, you don't get too tight, get up into the outside wall because it closes in on you as they come up on some lap traffic here. Solar car to the inside, I believe that's the 93. Christopher Melton that they're going by. He's got a damaged race car, but Closing in here a little bit on that 88 Trey Jackson. Again, aggressive over the dog leg there, and you can see it over the transition, how bumpy that is for these drivers.
Yeah, starting to see the Trey Jackson, his tires starting to fade off and falling backwards. Other drivers, though, trying to make their march forward, and those that are running pretty decently quick in the middle of the field. That's 8th place, 9th place, and 10th place. They're running pretty decently quick. That's Zach Hall, Tony Brent, Dave McConnell, as well as Sam Siegel in 11th. Those 3 or 4 drivers have actually been running very close pace to even those that are inside of our top 3. So watch out, if they can make some passes, they could be on the charge to go after 5th place runner of Jonathan Bird.
Yeah, it could close up on those guys. And it's got to be a good feeling for, especially if you're the 32 of Zach Hall got caught up in that big wreck. The first big wreck that we had here tonight. So seeing that car back inside the top 10, got to be feeling good for himself. Is right in front of him. He's got Ryan Lynch going to battle with the 11 of Tyler Thomas as they're battling out for 6th and 7th position right in front of Zach Hall and our Daytona winner, Tony Brent, and seeing if these guys can maybe set up a pass as Lynch going to get that pass done, slide up in front of the 11 machine, and see if this can maybe help the 32, the 28, and the 4 to maybe close up and get this pass done. But it's a crossover move from the 11 of Tyler Thomas.
I mean, these are the types of moves in racing that these drivers put in week and week out. And you know, we might not see them every single week because they're usually putting on a show further in the field. We're usually talking about the front runners and how fast who's going to win the race. But Ryan Lynch, Tyler Thomas, Burt, Brent, I mean, these guys usually battling for 15th. This is what they do. This is always the duel. But it is a pleasure that we're able to finally cover these guys that are inside the top 10, and they are giving us a show to cover as Ryan Lynch trying to cover off Tyler Thomas. Zach Hall not able to dive down low as Thomas shutting the door on the 32. And Zach Hall, I mean, how do you predict the drivers that you're not used to running around? It's so difficult when you're used to kind of running with respect. You see a driver get momentum, maybe you'll give him some space to work with. Zach Hall has to muscle his way under the 11 machine.
Yeah, these passes aren't going to be easy. These guys aren't going to lay over and just let you by, even if you are typically one of the guys at the front of the field. I mean, this is, like you said, this is what these guys do week in, week out. They're battling with one another hard throughout the course of the race from 11th all the way back to 20th. And now getting to see it up inside the top 10 as Zach Hall tried to pass the 11 of Tyler Thomas, lost his momentum. Now here comes the 28 of Tony Brent, trying to see if he can get by the 32 machine. He's going to have to maybe back out of it. But looks like he's going to dive it in here to 3 and 4, and this might open the door for his teammate, the 4 of McConnell. But the 28 of Brink, it's a great run as Zach Hall gets kind of pinched up behind the 11 of Tyler Thomas.
Ryan Lynch did not get the center exit that he was open for, kind of backed up the 11, not allowing him to get back to the throttle as soon as he wanted. And Zach Hall stuck in a Texas speed sandwich, but he'll be in the middle trying to make his way forward, but not having the momentum and speed, having to work nicely as they're going to be 3 wide still entering turns number 1. Can Brent, Zach Hall, as well as Tyler Thomas keep it 3 wide? They do through 3 and 4. Thomas has to back out of it, doesn't have the momentum, and Zach Hall, he'll take that position and gladly take the outside lane down into turn number 3.
Zach Hall survives that 3 wide battle. Tyler Thomas might come out the biggest loser of all of this as he's got David McConnell there in the 4 behind to his inside, and then Sam Siegel just quietly lurking, another driver that I don't think we've talked a lot about here tonight. He's just lurking just outside the top 10, trying to find a way to sneak in and get himself a good finish here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Siegel 2 cautions ago, found himself being with a black flag, had to do a drive-through penalty under green flag conditions, so it forced him to be a lap down. He got a caution that placed him back on the lead lap, and now just slowly making his way forward. 55, trying to have a solid day as Alex Jones on the outside groove, just trying to survive the best that he can. Heavy damaged, and it's just stay out there, see what position you can get for the 20th place runner and the 45 machine of Alex Jones. Falls back, and Sam Siegel will try to take the advantage of having a lap car, maybe spooking those in front.
Yeah, and see if he can take advantage of that, but doesn't look like he gains much of an advantage on the 11 there of Tyler Thomas. But again, just going to have to wait and see as this run progresses if he can work his way forward and maybe gain a couple positions on those guys as they start to struggle. Sam, did you just see it almost looked like it lifted the front end off Tony Brent there as he crossed over the seam, hitting that bump?
Yeah, it lifts it up just slightly, and that's where the unsettling actually comes from, is because you have a slight moment where you don't have contact to the ground, and so you're kind of trusting the car's going to rebalance itself right before you have to turn into the corner. And these drivers, every single time they risk going down onto the apron and utilizing the dog leg to its fullest potential on cutting the ground and the length of the track, but it's a risk that every driver is aiming for, as you see Tony Brett, Daytona winner, in 8th place, just following in suit, but his teammate going to be Jonathan Burt. Burt is running down. Trey Jackson is now down to less than a half a second between the 88 and the 6.
Yeah, Burt just quietly closing in on Trey Jackson, and Jackson having a great run for himself as well in that 88 machine. But here comes Burt with a lot of momentum out of turn number 4, down through the dog leg, closing in again on this 88 machine, who maybe looks like he's struggling here a little bit early on in this run. But Burt looking really good, pulling away from the 3 of Ryan Lynch and Zach Hall, and closing in on this 4th place position.
Jonathan Burt grabbed his first top 5 finish back at Martinsville 2 weeks ago, where he finished in 5th. His other best finishes was a top 10 and got 8th at Chicagoland. He got 10th at New Hampshire, and those were his only top 10 finishes of the season. Here tonight, he could be grabbing his best finish of the season if he can get by Trey Jackson or stay where he's at and tie his best finish. Just showing the short tracks, great place to be for the 6th machine. As Trey Jackson, on the other hand, just trying to stay afloat in 4th place. His car has been clean, trying to keep that fact that his car is clean. He's got tires that are matching in distance to everyone else around him, that he's going to have that slight advantage that can keep him up front as these laps continue to tick away. As we are almost down to 20 laps to go, the field recognizing this race could come to a conclusion here if nothing happens here shortly.
Yeah, I mean, this could be, the end of the race. If we don't get a caution, this thing could just run out green, and drivers trying to get as many spots as they can, maybe hang on to the spots that they got just in case it does go green. But if we get a caution, then that could bring in some pit strategy. We could see some interesting things happen. And we've seen how wild the restarts could be. It could really get interesting. But Jackson, again, starting to maybe pull a slight gap over the 6th of Burt. Burt might have been a little bit too aggressive trying to run down that 88 machine, and now he's got Ryan Lynch, Zach Hall closing in on him.
Zach Hall, once again, settling for 7th at this moment. But he's been running pretty quick to Ryan Lynch, and they are closing in on Burt. Like I said, might be falling off just slightly compared to what he was running before, and it's so easy here at Phoenix. Maybe you feel like you're catching up the driver ahead of you, you gas it up a little bit quicker, you use more rubber, you heat up the tires just too much, and it can be costly for later on in these runs. As Ryan Lynch, a very wide sweeping corner, trying to set up the exit, turn 2. This is the 3, doing his best to run down Jonathan Burt, and Zach Hall kind of driving pretty similar lines, maybe just a little bit more shallow than the 3 on entry, but the exit is where they've been pretty similar.
Yeah, pretty similar on the exit, and getting pretty good speed on the exit, catching up to these guys. And now it's going to be about a 3-4 car race for this 4th position, as now they're all really starting to close back in on the 88 of Trey Jackson. Here is he's starting to fall into their clutches just a little bit, and you can see them all kind of moving around, running a different line, trying to see if they can gain a little bit of advantage on one another as they close in on as they continue to close the gap on each other.
Well, you as well can see a wave of drivers, kind of just a blur in front of the 88. There is a group of 5 slow drivers that they're closing into. And with short track racing, 20 laps to go, 4th place isn't going to be just an easy feat to grab, because you also have to get by lap cars that are running for position against one another. This is when the chaos starts to really tumble down, as Jackson's about to be in this mess in about a lap or a lap and a half.
Yeah, and it really closed out. I was looking at the gaps, and it really closed up the gap to the lead, as Sarton had about a half a second gap, and then going through that lap traffic, it's closed down.
Oh, for the lead. For the lead.
It's a battle.
Battle for the lead. Chris Stitz, Cameron Sarton side by side up the exit of turn 2. Stitz got the better launch. Sarton just was not able to get an entry into turn number 1. They're going to be side by side. Chris Stitz, winner of this race back in season 2. The first time they ran here, trying to get back into victory lane. For Cameron Sarton, he wants another victory, but holding off for this lap is the 24. Stitz, can he finally be the first driver to pass under green flag conditions on Sarton?
Coming up on more lap traffic, it's the teammate, the 5 of John Dart. How much is he going to be able to help his teammate here in the 24 of Cameron Sarton? He's going to get out of the way. Sarton able to clear the 17, but it was that gaggle of lap traffic that allowed the 17 to close in that gap, get to the bumper, and get to the inside of the 24 of Cameron Sarton. This is to be the first time that 24 has been under duress all race long, and you can see here further back in the field with the 88 of Trey Jackson, the 3 of Ryan Lynch. Now they're having to go through this lap traffic. Cars scattering everywhere as they try to work their way through. Jonathan Burt's been passed by the 3 and the 36 as they get by Will Bustler, Christopher Norris, the 7 of Cedric Connor, the 15 of King Campbell, all up in there. But this is what our leaders had to go through, Sam, and you can just see how much it's causing each other to check up and give up track position.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest loser, Jonathan Bird, really losing out to Zach Hall, Ryan Lynch, but now it's really a left, right, and center. Where can you place yourself to get through the traffic and close in on the driver in front of you, as those three drivers on the inside, being the 88, the 3, the 32, who's going to grab that fourth place position? Cole Seghetti's really nowhere close enough to battle for a front two. Stitz is still within a car length to our leader, but as the laps continue to dwindle away, it's all down. Can Stitz have the run to make the pass for the lead?
Yeah, I think that was his one shot that he needed. I mean, we saw Zach Hall be able to stay within a car length, 2 car lengths of Cameron Sarton, but as the run progressed, that dirty air really killed the 32 machine. Will it do the same thing to the 17 of Chris Stitz? As he had his shot to get by the 24, wasn't able to do so, and now going to be sitting in that dreaded dirty air, burning up that right front tire, trying to keep that car to the bottom of the racetrack, having to put more wheel into it. As you can see, he follows in here through 3 and 4. We're going to see if he cuts the dog leg, try to gain a little bit of time on this 24 of Cameron Sarton, but Sarton covers it off. And again, Stitch just going to have to ride in line and hope that 24 makes a mistake.
And they're not expecting to see any type of real lap traffic for at least another 8 to 9 more laps. So this is a duel between the two, and Cameron Sarton is just pulling away because of that clean air. The battle that was going on for 4th place, though, it is still very close to one another. There's still a couple of drivers that are going to be a factor for that battle, as Ryan Lynch, Zach Hall, they are there with Trey Jackson. Jackson's little gap that he had to defend is there, but Ryan Lynch, a big wiggle. That is going to give an opportunity for Zach Hall in the entry here to turn 1.
Yeah, it'll give Zach Hall a chance maybe to put the nose to the inside of the 3 machine. He's going to look here, sends it in there to turn number 1, see if he can drift up in front of the 3, but no, going to have to stay to the inside. We'll see if the 3 of Lynch can get a good run here hold off that 32 machine. And this is what Trey Jackson wants to see, gives him a little bit of breathing room as those two continue to battle down in the 3 and 4. It's going to be side by side, the 32, the 3. It's the battle for 5th and 6th with Zach trying to hold on that inside line. Lynch goes all the way up to the top, but Zach looks like he might have gotten that pass done.
A very good, clean run off the exit of turn 4, and Zach Hall will be clean to make the pass now up to 5th place. Top 5 finish for Zach Hall. He'll take with the way that this race has been going. 12 laps to go, and it's really just a couple of battles that are going between one another. There's also still the pairing of drivers from that of Texas Speed Racing dueling between the 3 of Tony Brent, Jonathan Burt, and Dave McConnell. McConnell being the team leader. He has certainly put on a show. Tyler Thomas, all 4 Texas Speed drivers put on a show from 7 all the way back to 10th. But that is honestly looking to be the closest battle on track, unless Zach Hall can run down Trey Jackson.
Yeah, this is about the closest battle, and they've got a pretty good gap back to that of Sam Siegel, about 2 seconds back to him. So these 4 get to kind of settle it out from 7th through 10th, who gets the bragging rights on one another with the best finish. But run from that whole team inside the top 10, survived all the chaos, and here they are battling out for the top 10. But it's Zach Hall trying to close in on that 4th place battle as we watch McConnell try to hold off Tyler Thomas going into turn number 1. As that 11 closes in on the 4 machine. You can see the different lines starting to kick in here as the 11 looks to the inside to try to close in that gap.
10, about to be 9 laps to go here tonight, and like the teammates having their fun. The battle for 4th is about to be on with Zach Hall trying to get a good run off the exit of turn 4. He gets a little bit of a slide off the exit corner, so he's not going to have a big enough run to go for a poise or a pass here into turn 1. Let's set up for the next lap. But with 9 laps to go, the gap between 1st and 2nd over a half a second. Stitz's tires are shot. They're gone. Cole Seghetti, though, and he's trying to hope to see Stitz make more mistakes, and maybe the 42 can steal a 2nd place position, but he's a full second back from 2nd place. I think really it's down to just hope that the driver in front of you makes some mistake at this point.
Yeah, I think Cole just wants to see that 17 slip up just a little bit, close in that gap, see if he can steal himself a 2nd place after being spun on the back straightaway. That'd be a great recovery for that 42 machine, and kind of a what if had he not been involved or had the track position all night long. What he could have done. Zach Hall, you can see they get around the 26 there of Travis Dart. Ryan Lynch trying to hang on to this battle. I hope that they get to battle and he can maybe steal away a 4th place position. But Zach, again, trying to chase down this 88 of Trey Jackson. But Jackson having a great run holding off this 32.
Trey just continues to fight that clean car, not dealing with a lot of, outside aero damage. It's allowing the 88 to stay in this fight. Zach Hall, on the other hand, he's been fighting with some slight damage. He's been repairing, but that damage really hurts on the long run because you had to use the tires maybe a little bit more because there's a counter steer somewhere. The arrows just not working with properly. And Zach's, this last season's champion, really working his magic to try to stay inside of the top 5 as much as possible. And for our leader of Cameron Sard, what a race he's had so far. Coming up to 5 laps to go. A couple of more lap cars he's going to have to deal with here tonight. But Trevor, I mean, Cameron Sard, this is Cameron from the past. This is what was the 2-time champ back in the day for season 1 and 2. Just utter dominance that no one could touch.
Yeah, I want to say he's led pretty much the entire race, apart from maybe 2 laps under that green flag pit cycle where we had the caution. I mean, it's just been a dominating performance from the drop of the green flag for this 24 machine here tonight. And this is, you know, what you want to see from him. He's been talking about being consistent, getting back to that form. And with a race like this, if he can get this win, hold off and get this win, I mean, I'd say you've got to watch out for this 24 machine going forward.
And the 2-time champ, he got his first win this season back at Homestead, clutching and stopping the bleeding of a full season and a half struggle of not getting into victory lane. The most winless driver of the Full Send Racing series, wanting to get back into victory lane. And, you know, last time he won a championship was back in season 2 in this car, the Xfinity car, wants to get it done again. Thought he had a chance to win the championship in season 3. Thought maybe he had a chance in season 4 at some moments, but just never was able to get into victory lane. This season, he's looked like a different driver. One that the clash at the beginning of the season has shown promise, almost won at Daytona. It came down to that of the 10,000ths of a second on who won that race. There's been other times where he thought he was going to get into victory lane again, but here tonight, trying to get his second win of the season. But Chris Stitz still within a half a second, and the last go around he was faster, and he's closing in ever so slightly with 2 laps to go.
Yes, Stitz closing the gap just a little bit, about 0.6 of a second that time by, about a 10th quicker than that 24 machine, but he's going to need a lot more time gained to get to the rear bumper of this 24. You see him really driving into 1 and 2, trying to set himself up for a good run, and I think that's going to cost him here a little bit of time down the back straightaway coming into the white flag.
These last-ditch efforts from Chris Stitz could be hurting him on the long run, but off the exit of turn number 4, the white flag in the air. It's your next level racing white flag as Cameron Sarton trying to grab another win, the most winningest driver of the Full Send Racing series. Trying to move up, be the second most winningest driver this season, and tie himself with Zach Hall at 2. It's been just utter dominance. You could count just on your fingers on the amount of laps that he didn't lead here tonight. But off the exit of turn 4, the ButtKicker 300, give it to Cameron Sarton, winner of race number 12 this season.
An absolute dominating performance from that 24 machine here tonight. Chris Stitz with a great run for himself, needed that for the points. Comes away in 2nd place. Cole Siketti with a great recovery run in 3rd. And then how about Trey Jackson in the 88 machine, able to hang on for a top 5 finish for himself. But Sam, I got to say, for that 24, that was domination from start to finish. And I'd be watching out. It looks like that 24 machine's starting to heat up at the right time.
I mean, we know short tracks is where Cameron Sarton really is the most biggest threat to watch out for. And here tonight at Phoenix, he proved it, showed clean air. He got it done, you know, on the fact that he could be fast at qualifying, got the pole, never looked back. Had just one scare of a driver trying to pass him, and that was late with 20 laps to go. But after that little blip, it was all known that if we had to see the 24 in victory lane, it makes sense to see this scheme in victory lane as well. Congratulations to Cameron Sarton and our top 3. We'll be back for the post-race show where we'll talk to the 24 of Cameron Sarton, the 17 of Chris Stitz, Cole Siketti in the 42, and as well a spotlight driver right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the Full Send Racing Series. Race number 12 is in the books, and the ButtKicker 300 at Phoenix Raceway goes to the two-time champ of Cameron Sarton. The 24 machine in a dominant fashion led practically every lap here tonight, but a few, and he will grab his 16th career win, extending his most winningest career number even further. Cam, we talked to you after the stage. You won the stage. The clean air was dominant, but man, what's going through your mind after the way that the second half of the race went down for yourself?
Oh man, luckily kind of played out, I guess, for me like the kind of what I told you at the end of the stage one there, but it was a little hectic. I saw Zach get around John there, and I was like, dang it, John. I was like, you're supposed to hold him up a little longer because I knew he was fast, and I mean, we were running at the same exact speeds there for most of the run, and started gapping them at the end. Saw them pit. I knew I could kind of stay out a lap, maybe two, to have a little bit fresher tires, but not lose track position. And about 10 feet on pit road, I saw the caution came out, and I thought I was done for. And then I realized I could still take tires and beat the pace car out. So, as unfortunate as it was very lucky finally for myself, because it happened another time this year where I pitted and had to take the wave around. So, thankfully that happened, and then Stitz was really fast too. Got a little dicey there toward the end with some lap traffic, but was able to maintain the clean air, stay out front, and thankfully come away clean.
I mean, Cameron, you touched on it being lucky there during that pit cycle, but I mean, do you understand how lucky you were looking back at that? You know, Zach Hall, Brian McCann, all those guys that pit before you involved in that wreck. I mean, did you realize the extent of all that with you being able to keep your track position during that pit cycle?
Yeah, I realized once they started with there, I was like, well, I don't think they're coming back up here just because how hard it was to pass. But it turns out Cole got third still, and I think Zach got fourth or fifth. And I was like, how the heck did y'all finish back up here? Because there's a few more wrecks. So luckily, kind of played in their favor, kind of toward the end of the race for them to get a good finish still. So they deserved it. And yeah, very, very lucky because I've been back there. I kind of put myself in that position the last few weeks. Just haven't been A+ and qualified, around 15th, and that puts you kind of in that danger zone. So stayed out of it, and whew, thank you.
I mean, Cam, we got some strong races that we know that you can perform at coming up in these last three of the regular season. Talladega, Las Vegas, and the one that you've always dominated at Richmond. How are you feeling about these next three races on what you can try to learn or you're trying to grow on before the playoffs?
Yeah, fortunately I'm missing next week because wife and I's anniversary, so I doubt she's going to let me hop on. So at least it's Talladega, so it's not too bad. But I feel good about Vegas and Richmond. It's really just garnering most points I can, those two races. Hopefully get a couple more playoff points and kind of close that gap with McCann and extend it on Hall a little bit because for the regular season title as well. For those playoff points you get from that. It's a pretty tight race. McCann got me good the last few weeks, but got him back a little bit tonight. So close the gap there, but just maximizing playoff points, really. It's going to be very, very competitive. Every single round, 12-8, and then the 4. So you're going to want every single little point that you can get because there's a lot of fast guys that have bad luck, and there's a lot of bad luck guys that are fast. So we'll see what happens, but just maintain kind of up front and being nice to everybody too.
Well, we can't wait to see how you're going to perform on those last two races of the regular season. Congratulations on this win, and enjoy your anniversary next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And Cam, before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah. Thanks, mom, dad, grandparents watching. Staying up a little later tonight is a long one. ButtKicker for the race sponsorship. Make sure you go check them out. Ghost Racing. Sam had a nice finish, and John still moved on in the bracket. Him and Ken had a nice damaged vehicle race there the last 50 laps. So it's gonna be me and him actually for the final in that little side gig. So that'll be fun, and you guys up in the booth. So for another good race and go back and watch it. Sure, it was fun to call, and we'll see y'all in a couple weeks.
Can't wait for it. That's going to be Cameron Sartin in the 24 machine getting the win here tonight for the ButtKicker 300 at Phoenix Raceway. Congratulations. Enjoy this one, and hopefully we'll be talking to you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, see y'all.
As that's going to be your winner here tonight of Cameron Sartin, as we head now from victory lane to second place to see the thoughts for the driver that almost had a chance to steal up front, wasn't able to complete that pass, but will come away in second instead. We got Chris Stitz with us. Chris, you found yourself in second place, a very odd scenario that kind of blipped up in the middle of green flag pit stops. Man, how are you feeling after the way that this race kind of progressed and you found yourself in second place at the end of the day?
Oh man, I wish I could have, come home P1, but sometimes, doesn't always work out that way. But I gave it my all, and that's all that matters for me. And yeah, that caution in the middle right there, I was debating on just pitting and going in. I'm glad I didn't because it ended up working out great for me. Unfortunately, it screwed over my teammates, but just the way racing is sometimes. But here we are.
I mean, Chris, you got back to Cameron there going through the lap traffic. We saw the side-by-side racing. Was there anything else you could have done to potentially get that pass done? Or was it kind of just, see what you could do and then just hold on for second?
I knew my tires were all but done for, and I needed to make that move. It was either now or never. I think if I probably could have, got a little tighter on his door coming out of 4 on that last lap. I was on his inside, and maybe been able to slide him coming into 2 when coming into 1, I mean, and been able to kind of run a defensive line from there on out. But it doesn't always go your way, and I just gave a little bit too much room. But next time, I'll know, just get up on his door and race him hard.
Well, we're excited to see that aggressive racing come up. And Chris, looking at points wise, you're one of the few drivers that's really on the cut line, trying to point your way into the playoffs. How do you feel like you can set up for these next 3 races to make sure you got the most points to move on and race for a championship?
Consistency is going to be a big key, especially next week at Talladega. I'm definitely going to need to finish that race. I've used up too many of the drop weeks, and I'm going to need big points in almost all 3 races just to lock myself in that playoff spot, especially if we get a new winner at Talladega or something. That can change a lot of things, but going to give it my all and go out there, try and get stage points, race points, get it all we can.
Oh, we can't wait to see how you're going to perform there. Chris, still congratulations on second here tonight. Before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
First off, I'd like to thank Frostfire Installation, the sponsor on the car, running the pink scheme for the month of October. Shout out Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And you guys up in the booth for everything you do, everything behind the scenes, all the announcing. Excited to go back and watch this one again. I feel like it's been 3 weeks in a row now. I've been able to go back and watch these amazing finishes. But I'd also like to thank Travis, John, everyone involved in the league. Putting on a great show for everyone. Definitely put on a good one tonight. And of course, my teammates and Hack Racing team. Got Cedric, Nick, and Cole. All fantastic teammates. Welcome back, Cole. So glad to have him back in the field. But yeah, move on to next week.
We're happy to have Cole back as well. That's Chris Stitz in the 17 machine coming away in second. Congratulations and good luck next week at Talladega, and hopefully you survive.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
You too. As we go from second place, we go down to third, talking about Cole Sacchetti. Well, he is back, and he certainly showed why he's one of the top contenders to always watch out for. We're happy to have him back. Third place finisher, the 42. Cole, it's good to have you back. We've missed you out there on track. Man, what a race you had. What a recovery run. How are you feeling coming away with a third place finish?
Thanks, guys. Yeah, it's good to be back. Good to talk to you guys. Missed you guys up in the booth there. Was tuning in every week, but it was pretty good. Today was my first day back in the sim in a month, so that was pretty cool. Getting back in and running third. I missed the whole race there. It was a fun race overall. Definitely was a little hectic there towards the end when I had to do the recovery, but overall, I mean, honestly, I can't complain. That was a great race, especially, like I said, jumping back into the sim after a month off. I can't complain at all.
I mean, Cole, what was it like coming back through the field? We kind of saw, throughout the course of the race, it was hard to get passes done. You get involved in the incident on the back straightaway, have to come back up there and battle your way back to third. But, I mean, what was it like coming through the field?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was like every other Xfinity race. It's just it's hard to pass now. It was definitely you had to get a lot of your positions right there at the beginning of the run, just because when the tires wore off, you just couldn't pass. You had to pull some sliders and like really know where to run to actually get a pass done. But I mean, I feel like I got some help there. With as many damaged cars as we had, and I certainly didn't have as much damage. I mean, I think I had just over a minute of optional, but it was all on the left front, and it was very minimal. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, it was a good time. Definitely can't complain. I had a great time out here running with these guys again.
We're happy to have you back again, Cole. We've missed you, but we got 3 more races left in the regular season: Talladega, Las Vegas, Richmond. What are you feeling like your goals are for the rest of this season, even going into the playoffs for yourself?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I definitely think I was 65 out of the playoffs, and I'm gonna miss Las Vegas because I'm gonna be on vacation. But I think the objective for the rest of the season, just because before I took that little hiatus there, I was starting to get a little frustrated with sim racing, just a lot going on in my head and stuff like that. So I think the main objective is to just have fun and run how we can run here. I mean, that's the biggest thing, right? Like why we do it is to just have fun. So definitely would love to rattle off a win. I feel like missing Spa there, I know I was like a big time favorite to win that race. So I feel like I've got to maybe try to get it done at Roval, and we'll definitely be trying there for sure. There's a bunch of other tracks coming up that I know I'm really good at. So hopefully maybe rattle off a win or two. I feel like I'm due, and yeah, we'll see where it takes us. Help my teammates out with setups and stuff like that in the playoffs for sure. I know Stitz is in pretty sure, and then Cedric. So just be a help to them as much as I can, and enjoy the rest of the season here.
We can't wait to see how you're going to perform moving forward, Cole. Congratulations on 3rd. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah. First off, I want to shout out. I know he's probably not watching because it's late, but my brother's company, they hopped on. I'm sure you guys saw it in the broadcast, but hopped on as a sponsor here at Speedway Fabrications Inc. in Morrisville, North Carolina. They actually, which he's involved in, the build Xfinity cars and Xfinity chassis for a lot of the lower level teams. Like Jeb Burton's one of the cars that they build. So huge shout out to them for hopping on for the rest of the season here. Also shout out to Want to Go Graphics here, sponsoring the race tomorrow for WSSR. So check us out on Discord. Want to Go Graphics, and then huge shout out to my girlfriend, as always, for putting up with me. Huge shout out to you guys in the booth every week, putting on a great show. Watched every one of the broadcasts while I was gone and loved every second of them. And then also a huge shout out to everyone at Full Send. Glad to be back, and happy to be running with these guys again.
Happy for you, Cole. That's the 42 of Cole Sketty coming away with a 3rd place finish here tonight. Good luck next week at Talladega, and the field's got to be careful. Another threat is back out on track. Good luck, Cole.
All right, appreciate it. Cheers, boys.
As we do not have a spotlight driver for tonight's race, so we're just going to talk to our top 3, and now we'll get prepared to look at our unofficial results for tonight's race. For the ButtKicker 300, we had a great long run for the stage, then we had a long green flag run, a couple of yellows periodically when we first came out of the stage, but it was after lap 100 when the chaos really came down. Those last 86 laps were chaotic and the field scattered. Some of the top runners were not able to recover as well as they wanted. Others were able to come away with some top 10 finishes. And here's where they lined up. Unofficially, Cameron Sarton's going to be your winner here today, grabbing his 2nd of the season. Chris Stitz in 2nd, Cole Sketty in 3rd. Trey Jackson, one of his better finishes of the season, coming away in 4th. Zach Hall in 6th. Ryan Lynch 6th. With 7th going to Tony Brent. 8th goes to Dave McConnell, one of his best finishes. Tyler Thomas 9th. 10th goes to Jonathan Burden. Texas Speed, all having great finishes for themselves. And honestly, Trevor, what a wild race that we had here tonight, because a lot of top contenders were not able to rebound as well as Zach Hall and Cole Sketty did.
No, not able to recover as well at all. And then you got to give a huge shout out to the Texas Speed guys, Trey Jackson, Sam Siegel down there in 11th. I mean, all these guys were battling back there for 15th on back, getting themselves great finishes. Andrew Medlin with a damaged race car able to come home in 12th. Christopher Way with a great run in 13th. Jay Becker, after a self spin, recovers to 14th. But I mean, it's down there 15th on back, Sam, that you've got guys caught up in those wrecks with the Dart brothers there in 15th and 16th after having great runs. Cedric Hunter, Ken Campbell down there in 18th. And then further on down, I mean, Brian Wilson got caught up in a wreck early on, was able to recover well, and then gets caught up in another wreck down in 22nd. Christopher Norris, after the hard contact and the big wreck that we had off of turn number 2, down at 24th. Brian McCann's down there as well. William Duff was having such a good run for himself until he unfortunately spun himself out to turn number 4 down in 28th. And then Ross Tatum and Doug Pierce, I believe, brought out our first caution of the night, and those two out early on in this race, going to come home 29th and 30th.
Drivers were not able to get some of the runs that they were hoping for. Others taken out early, but ultimately it's the 24 of Cameron Sarton back into victory lane. Two-time winner this season, 16th career win for the 24 here tonight. Congratulations to Cam, and for us here tonight, thank you for joining with us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. If you want to see more grit racing action the next 2 days, we've got you covered. As tomorrow night, it's the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series, taking the Gen 4 cars to Kansas for more playoff action. As who's going to survive the next round as the round of 10 begins for those drivers. Then on Thursday, taking the Gen 4 cars for the Stars and Stripes, headed short track racing, North Wilkesboro. Last time those drivers went short track racing, we saw a couple of cautions blip up. Maybe some tempers might arise. You'll have to check out on Thursday night. But Trevor, for tonight's race, any final thoughts before we call it a night for ourselves up here in the booth?
I mean, a tale of two halves of this race. You know, long green flag runs and a flurry of cautions that really shook things up. Almost saw a pass for the lead, but I think at the end of the day, the word is just domination, and it's what it was from the 24 of Cameron Sarton. Led 100 and I believe 185 of the lap time. Led all but one lap of this race. So what a drive from that 24 machine. But next week, Talladega. So I mean, we saw great finishes at Martinsville, Indianapolis, a great race here tonight, and then chaos next week at the wild card that is Talladega. Cannot wait.
Hey, last time this field found themselves at a super speedway race, every finish, it didn't matter if it was the duels, the end of the stage, end of the race, they were close, and you never knew who was going to come away in victory lane. You're gonna not want to miss it. Full Send Racing Series, it should be a good one at Talladega next week. But for us up in the booth, for myself, Sam Dyer, for Trevor Earhart, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining with us. If you haven't already, remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and also comment what's your favorite moment of the race here tonight. It helps us here at the broadcast team, and as well helps out the leagues to get more eyes and viewers on their content. As for us here this evening, we enjoyed the show. Hopefully you did as well. But for tomorrow night, WSSR, Kansas, you don't want to miss it. That will be our next Freaky Fast broadcast.